and welcome once again to a very special episode of the Cine-Files. I'm Steve Morris. I'm a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Rocha. I'm a writer, producer, and host and voiceover artist here in San Diego, California.
And the reason we're getting together to talk right now, we often do this when we lose actors and writers and directors, but this is none of them. This is a true American hero who we just lost, the great Jim Lovell. And we thought it would be a good idea to re-release one of our favorite episodes, which is Apollo 13. And we couldn't discuss the great Jim Lovell or Apollo 13 without welcoming back to the microphones animation writer Dave Rapp. Welcome back.
Thank you. It is good to be back and be with you guys. I'll obviously not for the sad reason that we have today, but any chance that I get to talk about this man or the space program is a plus in my book, and I think that's one of the things that he leaves behind with us.
And what is so special? So this is Jim Lovell. Obviously, Tom Hanks plays him in Apollo 13. And I'm just curious, what do you think is so special, Dave, about this astronaut?
Dave, before you answer, we should interject and say for some of the new fans who may be discovering this episode for the first time, Dave Rapp was our guest on this episode, which is why he's doing the intro with us. And just want to clarify that before we go forward. So please go ahead, Dave.
That's true. And I believe you guys had me here because I went to school for aerospace engineering. I am a space nut. I love the space program and I love Apollo 13, the movie. And I was very happy to talk with you guys. But it really resonated for me because I got to hear Jim Lovell speak when I was in high school. Being one of the science nerds, my chemistry and physics teacher recommended me, got me permission to go hear Jim Lovell speak at a theater in downtown Columbus. And I knew him by name, but didn't really know the story of Apollo 13 because, you know, when I was growing up, I was getting all the information and they don't really want to talk about the failures. So Apollo 13 wasn't like, something that was really being promoted. And so I knew absolutely nothing. I sat in the audience and heard him tell the story. You know, obviously, people don't know I'm very old, so this is well before the movie came out. And I'm getting this information, and I am just flabbergasted at everything that had to happen, everything that did happen, and everything they had to do, both the astronauts in the capsule and everyone on the ground to get these guys back. And of course, in typical astronaut fashion, the way he told it was just matter of fact, no big deal. This is what we had to do. Crazy, right? Blah, 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 laugh it off. And, first of all, just to see an Apollo astronaut was insane pleasure and honor. And then to hear this story that I had never heard before. And I was flabbergasted. So when the movie came out, I'm like, I know what happens here. I know how crazy this is. I really want to see this movie. Yeah. So.
Well, now I'm actually curious, having heard the story from the horse's mouth and then later seen the movie. I know it's a dumb question, but did the movie live up to your expectations?
Absolutely, it did. It exceeded my expectations. I just thought, I am not a filmmaker or a film instructor, so I don't know all of the technical stuff, but the advancements seemed just perfect or just up to what Ron Howard wanted to get the appearance of weightlessness and actual weightlessness because they shot so much of that in the Vomit Comet. But it just, when that realism is there as a fundamental, you forget that it's filmmaking. And so it feels so authentic and just to see the guys floating around the capsule and doing everything, you're like, yeah, that was it, So yeah, it was really, I thought was a home run. And I'm sure I said nothing but positive things when we talked about it. That was a few years ago. So it's hard to remember exactly what I said, but yeah, it was a home run for me.
It's funny you talk about the failures, quote unquote, of the space program, because listen, just the space program in its existence is a success overall, and yes, are there accidents that have happened or things that have gone down? Sure. But I tell you, this Apollo 13, even though it's quote unquote considered a failure, which I think is madness, it's actually a success in so many other ways, because if you remember what they went through, how they overcame the things they overcame, the literally low percentage chance to survive the things that happened to them in order to come back. I mean, by every other measure, it is a success other than being able to fully complete their mission as it was mapped out. So for me, I think it is an absolute success. I mean, hell, I remember this mission, not even before the movie. I remember this mission more than I remember a lot of the successful missions that went on. And Jim is an amazing character, having an amazing human being, having been he was one of the first members of the second class of astronauts. He was the first one to go up 4 times into space. And he went on to serve in NASA as an administrator there as well. And so there was so much about him that conveyed this kind of what we aspire to be. You know what I'm saying? Buzz is like what we probably are, but like Jim Lovell is what we would like to be. And so I think there's something really poetic in that. And who else but Tom Hanks to capture that energy at the prime of his career, just as he's moving into that area of the elder statesman as an actor, to bring that kind of solidness to the role that permeates throughout the entire movie and helps you appreciate Jim Lovell even more through Tom Hanks's interpretation.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking, like, one of our jobs that we feel on the Cine-Files is to, when there's a historical event that we're doing a movie of, like Braveheart or The Sound of Music or anything else, is that we try to go, well, what was really happening? What was really the truth? And even those in particular are both movies I adore.
Yeah.
Both of them are not based on fact. Like, they're both have a lot of stuff made up. And this is the opposite. I know they were I remember when we talked about it, the whole crew on the film was going over all the flight logs and everything that happened at Mission Control throughout the whole process, and anything that wasn't quite right. They were like, hey, this, not only did they go, we got to fix this, but they discovered things and like, well, we got to tell this part of the story because it's amazing. Yeah. And I think too, like there's something about this film that's it's just my style. It's my kind of thing, because I realize more and more, particularly as I'm getting older, is like, I like practically doing things. That's what interests me. How do you make the movie? How do you run this business? How do you build this product? It's the how that fascinates me. And this is a movie about a bunch of people working together to solve a problem. And I just love that. And I really feel this is something we need to all be looking at. We've got a lot of problems. And America, historically, is the greatest problem-solving country in the history of the world. And I'm going to make that big claim. I think that's a true statement. And I think to some degree, we're not that right now. We have forgotten how to be a country that can work to solve problems. We mostly are a country that just is really pissed off at each other.
Boy, that's true. And, I was already thinking about the different generation of men, and, you can definitely make complaints about the stoicism of men from that era, but like,
my dad was totally comfortable expressing his emotions. What are you talking about?
But just the fact where, like everybody's like, yeah, this is what we got to do. Just the calm, cool collectedness that really was pretty much always there in those astronauts, at least public facing, but also, like you said, they have the logs, and just the like, okay, this is what we have to get done, and just putting your head down and doing it, not complaining about it. Just like, the one scene where they're all kind of losing it, and Jim Lovell, Tom Hanks says, we can keep bouncing off the walls, but when we come down, we're still going to have these problems. So let's just deal with this stuff right now. Yeah. And I like, that's a different class of human, man, that you don't see those people very much anymore.
Well, I would take Steve's comment and maybe give a little more historical perspective on it, because the movie takes place in 1970. The mission happened in 1970 when we were pretty divided as a country as well, because this is in the middle of Vietnam. This is protests in the street. This is just before we get into
That's a great point.
True.
Right? Oh, it was the same, almost mirroring what is going on now. We think now is really bad, but like in 1970, it was just as bad. If people go back and read their history books and experiences, certainly older people who were adults during that time could let us know what the energy was like in the country, with young people, with the flower powers becoming domestic terrorists, flower power people becoming some domestic terrorists. Like there was a lot going on. We're 2 years away from Munich. You know, there's so much that was going on. And so I'm sure like back in 1970, hearing this story was something that people were desperate to hear. And we're like, why can't we do this here on Earth? Why can't we find a way to work together, overcome the problems? You know, even though it looks like low percentage chance of success, why can't we do that? And as Steve pointed out just a few minutes ago, we're back in that same boat again here in our world, trying to find the way to bring these two divisive sides together so that we can find some common ground to save the country, which in essence is the rocket ship, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Our spaceship Earth.
Spaceship Earth. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a great point, Johnny. That's a really good point.
Dude, it's such a good point. I hadn't even thought about it, but you're totally right. At the time that they were coming together to do this amazing thing, our country was just as messed up then as it is now. I have a question for you two gentlemen. I did not prepare you for this question. You did not have time to think about it in advance.
What else is new?
But famous Steve question.
Yes.
But this is just what pops into my brain. When you think of Apollo 13, if I say Apollo 13, what is the moment that first pops into your head?
Do you mean the movie or the mission?
The movie.
Okay.
In the movie. Like the one that just keeps popping in my head is Gary Sinise in the damn simulator trying to take a couple of volts off of that just tenacity to do that job is the one that came first in my brain.
That's boy, I might have to let Johnny go on this one while I think about it.
Well, the question is what popped into your brain?
I know. Well, the first thing that popped into my brain is actually Tom Hanks, Jim Lovell's closing VO.
I sometimes catch myself looking up at the moon, remembering the changes of fortune in our long voyage, thinking of the thousands of people who worked to bring the three of us home. I look up at the moon and wonder, when will we be going back? And who will that be?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question that's in my head constantly. When are we going back? I feel like the only hope for this planet is for us to get off of it. Otherwise, we're just going to stay here and destroy each other over the dwindling resources
and fuck up that planet.
Yes, absolutely. That's the only way we will survive is if we spread like a virus. I watched The Matrix.
I think of Jim Lovell's pep talk to Kevin Bacon's character. Right? Because it's like that guy has a loss of confidence that he's going to be able to do this. And it's Jim Lovell who has to calm him down and get him level about what's happened. Lovell's got to level him about what's going on to get him to focus. And it's because he's lost in his own stuff. And sometimes we have to understand members of our society are caught up in their own stuff. We have to help them see the bigger picture so they can get past that and be and take part in saving society. And so I always think of that moment. And then right behind it is exactly what you said, Steve. I think the Gary Sinise moment is more like when he finally figures it out and lets go of his anger that he's not on the ship. I think that's an incredible moment as well.
Don't know what it says about us, but I find it interesting that I picked the tenacious, working somewhat in isolation, not going to quit.
Yeah.
John picked the relationship pep talk, and strangely enough, Dave Rapp chose hope.
Yes,
I know, right?
Right at the end.
Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Your secret is safe with us. Well, with that, we're going to take you back to the incredible Ron Howard film, Apollo 13, and our two-part discussion with our special guest, Dave Rapp.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Hello and welcome once again to the Cine-Files, where each week we enter the world of a great film and explore its themes, the history, the filmmaking, and the influence it has on us today. My name is Steve Morris. I'm a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Rocha. I'm a voiceover artist, writer, producer, and host over at Collider Video, and also the co-host of Top 10 and the new Geek Buddies. It's been going on for a few weeks now that I co-host with Michael Vogel and Shannon McClung. Having a great time, and I can't wait to talk about this movie today.
And we are very happy to welcome back one of our favorite guests, an animation writer and our the Cine-Files resident NASA expert, Dave Rapp. Welcome back to the Cine-Files.
Thank you. I am so happy to be back, and especially for this film. And I'm all, because I know the fantastic visual component of podcasting, I wore my NASA shirt. I wore my I wore my astronaut socks.
Well, and everywhere you go, you wear NASA tattoos.
I have all that. Yes,
You do.
So you are well prepared. And of course, the movie we're talking about today is Apollo 13. And it's really, everyone right now is talking about that this is the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11.
Yeah.
And the thing that amazes me, and I'm sure, Dave, you could talk endlessly more about this, is the landing on the moon might be the hardest thing humans have ever done.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely think so.
I mean,
I can't think of anything that compares to it.
The numbers I've heard is it's like 400,000 people working in concert to make this thing happen.
Yeah. Well, I think it was fascinating about that Apollo 11 documentary.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, you haven't seen
interviewed. That's a great interview you did, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
On the Deep Cut.
I interviewed Todd Douglas Miller, who directed that film, on the Deep Cut, and he talked about, which you can find on the Collider Conversations podcast feed if you want to listen to it, just an hour just discussing about how he culled 11,000 hours of video and audio and how he put it all together and the process. I mean, they were working on it for years. And then eventually conversations with the families. But he really brings you into the minute detail that that had to happen throughout every single step of the process in order for it to happen. And even then, it's still thrilling and scary and all of that when they land and when they come off. You don't know what's going to happen, and there's these moments of like just quiet when they're going around them. Where you're just like, this is insane, the amount of computations that you need to have and the amount of people.
And having that someone is building some bolt that must be to the microcentimeter exactly what fits with this nut that's being built across the country, and that all of this must come together. And if anything is remotely off, then this whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
It's absolutely crazy. And so one of the reasons we're doing Apollo 13 is that we're all kind of looking to the heavens right now and thinking about that. And the other reason we're doing Apollo 13 is it is one of our top picks on Patreon. Evan Zoller, James Kang, and Michael Gulick all wanted this for their Patreon pick, and we would love to hear why they wanted Apollo 13.
Hey guys, I always grew up loving and reading about the space program. But this was the first movie where I was able to not only watch the harrowing story of how these astronauts get back to Earth, but just see how these missions were run at the ground level. I would say that the main characters and heroes of the story are not so much the astronauts, but really are the people who used all their ingenuity and grit and with confidence bring these men back home to Earth. Really looking forward to your discussion and breakdown of this incredible film.
Hi, Steve and John. This is Mike from Massachusetts. Thank you so much for doing one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. This was the first movie I saw in theaters with my dad after my parents divorced, and it really helped for me to see humanity at their best in the worst situation. There wasn't a bad performance in the film, with Ed Harris, Kathleen Quinlan, and of course Tom Hanks as definite standouts. This was a visual and a technical masterpiece, and, in the words of Gene Kranz, this was our finest hour. Thank you.
Hi, John and Steve. Long-time Patreon of the show. Listen to it all the time on repeat. Shout out to Civil War, Shawshank Redemption, and The Breakfast Club. But for Apollo 13, I was 8-year-old the first time I saw that in the movie theater, and it was the first time I consciously really took in what film could do, putting you in a place that you could never imagine going, putting you in the lives of people that seem so outside what you might ever be capable of, and seeing just real people try to problem solve. But it's such a compact story about people overcoming odds that if you told them to do that, probably outside of that situation, probably would tell you it's impossible. So it's just a great thriller. Proud that you guys are finally getting around to it, and can't wait to listen.
Wow. Those are some strong words.
Smart men.
They
Yep.
always are.
Yep. I appreciate their words about this movie.
Thank you guys for your support, and thank you for picking this movie. You want to know something really crazy about this?
What's that?
So we're 150. This probably is our 151st episode.
Ooh, Dave, you missed it by one.
That sounds about right.
This is not only is this our first Ron Howard film.
Oh, what? Yeah.
This is our first Tom Hanks film.
What?
Whoa, no.
And even crazier on some levels, this is our first Kevin Bacon film.
What?
I think
We've been able to do 3 years without bacon?
we
That's
have not
incredible.
the Cine-Files has failed the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I believe. Now we have a lot of movies now, but I kind of looked through quickly and I was like, I don't see them
That's
in any of these
stunning.
movies. Isn't that crazy? And yet it is our third Bill Paxton film.
Yes.
That's I'm fine with that.
LA, great.
Dave, do you remember how you first came to this film?
Yeah, I had just moved to Phoenix from Ohio. I had only been there a couple months, and this movie came out, and this movie was one of the big reasons that made me think that I needed to be out in California instead. I was
Really?
Yeah, this movie was happening, and I was like, I needed to work on this movie. I need to get out there and be part of stuff like this.
Where were you at this point? You were graduated from college?
Yes, I was out of college. I had been working as a grip and an electrician for a while, and I moved out to Phoenix as a sort of a stepping stone to come out here. And I was just trying to get myself established there, and I saw this movie. And I was like, God damn it!
What about you, John?
Definitely in the theater because it's 1995. So I'm sure I saw it 25 years old, 24 years old, wherever, in the theater because I was a massive Tom Hanks fan, massive fan of the space program. And that Houston, we have a problem tagline. I mean, that's how they get you. And it was a great trailer. And Ron Howard as well at that time was in his heyday in the 90s. So just building that thing. So I was like excited to see what they could do together with this combination. Plus, it was Tom Hanks and Ron Howard again, which I'd loved in Splash.
In Splash. That's
So
what
I was
before.
like excited to see this combination.
So for me, I was in film school, living in Los Angeles. I saw it in the theater, and I also I remember one of the first movies I worked in on that DVD job, fresh out of film school. So it is one I watched over and over again. And as we talked about before on the podcast, there's some movies which further viewings made them worse and worse and worse. And Apollo 13 is the opposite. Every time I watched this movie, I was like, man, this really is a really good movie. And the things that get me emotionally, every time.
Yeah.
Every time Ed Harris sits down,
It's
done.
in my notes.
Well, we'll get there. I'll do a little bit of pre-production. It started because Jim Lovell, this is obviously based on a true story of the Apollo 13 mission and what they had to do to bring them back home. And Jim Lovell was writing a book called Lost Moon, and the book had not even come out yet. It hadn't even been written yet. And Brian Grazer and Ron Howard heard about it and said, this is a movie we want to do. And of course, Brian Grazer and Ron Howard are one of the probably the most successful producing directing partners in the history of film. And they were fascinated from the very beginning by this idea of 3 worlds, that there was the world of the astronauts, there was the world of mission control, and there was the world of Marilyn Lovell and the family at home, and bringing those 3 worlds together to tell the story. And the first person they started with, of course, was Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks wanted to be an astronaut when he was a kid.
Of course.
And had the toys and was passionate about it. And it really sounds like he's a real collaborator on this movie, start to finish. And that Ron Howard welcomed him in.
Well, it's no surprise considering how he's now producing so many things and involved with so many documentaries.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where he starts to see, like, there's more that I can do than just act.
Well, I was going to say, because after this, they did From the Earth to the Moon,
Right.
with Tom Hanks and Imagine guys.
Yep.
I was totally 100% wrong. This is not our first Tom Hanks movie.
Oh.
League of Their Own, 1992.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we
yes.
have done the lead. It's just that's 92.
Okay.
So I apologize to the Cine-Files.
Yes.
I've made yet another horrible mistake.
Oh, it's quite all right.
But he's on a run because 92 is a League of Their Own, and he was, from Splash, which is mid 80s, and Bosom Buddies, and he does all these comedy films, which I love Tom Hanks. Sure. But then there is Philadelphia in 93, Sleepless in Seattle in 93, and Forrest Gump in 94.
Yeah.
And this is 95.
Right.
That is a run.
Yeah, and Toy Story also came out.
And Toy Story is
95.
95. Yeah.
Right. Good point.
And one of the things about this, and we've talked about this we just did Last of the Mohicans, which is a tremendously well-researched movie This one, they really wanted to get it right. They everyone working on this movie is pouring over the transcripts, talking to the technical advisors, talking to Jim Lovell, talking to the guys from NASA, talking to Gene Kranz, talking to all these people to make sure they really, really get this one right. One thing I know on this film, I'm not even going to come close to getting the names of all the great actors that are in this film.
Oh man, it's such a good cast.
So all the little parts are like, I've seen that guy in something, that person's in all sorts of things, this person's in all sorts of things. But I will say that what we can know is that they had great casting directors, which is Janet Hutchinson and Jane Jenkins cast this film. And boy, like I said, just take a look at the IMDb, start clicking on people, and you'll see that, oh, that person was in that TV show. That person was in this. Fantastic cast.
We know Clint Howard's in this.
And Ron Howard's parents, both
That's
mom
right.
and
Both
the
his
dad.
parents, yeah.
That's right.
Would you like to get in the movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We start with that score. And that's James Horner. And that is one of those, like, you hear that score in all sorts of stuff today. And what I had forgotten watching it was that we start with the Apollo 1 disaster.
Yeah. I had forgotten that as well.
Which is funny because it's one of the first time we had you on the show. Oh, no, the second time we had you on the show was for The Right Stuff.
Yeah.
And in The Right Stuff, we meet Gus Grissom.
Yeah.
And do you remember the big thing that happened to Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff that was very controversial?
Yeah. When he splashed down after his Mercury flight, the hatch blew, or he blew it, depending on your take on it, and they weren't able to recover the vessel.
Yeah, and there was all this controversy of was it his fault or was it a technical problem? And apparently, which I didn't know until watching one of the docs, is that they redid the hatch to make it not possible for it to blow like that. And at the beginning of this movie, we see Gus Grissom getting into the Apollo 1 capsule, and there's a circuitry problem and lots of pure oxygen in the capsule, and it goes on fire, and they can't get out through the hatch.
Grissom's is just the most tragic figure in the space program.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, of course, Christy McAuliffe and the people on the Challenger, but this is more because no matter what happened, it seemed like drama seemed to follow.
Yeah, it was
him.
a whole career of
Right?
crushing blows.
Yeah, and he just kept trying, and in the end, it was like, well, we're just going to set you on fire. And I mean, it's just like, it's sad. It's so sad. I whenever I hear his name, I always just feel a certain sadness come over me because, to achieve that level, but to never be able to have any kind of positive result from what you've done it must be terrible.
I just thought this was a great move, though. I had forgotten, too, that they started with this. Seems like you would start with what you go into next, which is the landing on the moon, and this is the thing. But this is so good because it tells us that this is a story about adversity.
Right.
And it also tells, even though there is going to be a lot of flag waving here, this is going to show the space program warts and all sort of thing. And also because they show you what happened here, and then when Jim Lovell talks to his son about it, you know what he's referencing, and then when his mom talks to his son later, it's a perfect build up.
That's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, and it sets it like, no, this is dangerous. Things can go wrong.
Right.
It establishes right away, and it's something we talked about when we talked about The Right Stuff, is a lot of these astronauts came out of being test pilots where the survival rate is really, really low. In order to do a dangerous, or in order to do something that's never been done before, you take on tremendous amounts of risk. And of course, the person who's narrating a lot of this is Walter Cronkite.
Inspired by the late President Kennedy, in only 7 years, America has risen to the challenge of what he called the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
Here's what I didn't know. I just assumed that this was all old Walter Cronkite footage, but it's not.
Yeah, I believe it. They did such a good job of blending actual footage of newscast stuff with stuff that they shot themselves.
And this is Walter Cronkite in 1995. And they went to him and they had written the text. This is what I love. They'd written the text. He read it. He read it again. He took out a pen. He made some cuts, he made some edits, and he turned it into Cronkite. It was shorter, it was tighter, and it was way more dramatic. Yeah. And Ron Howard just describes it as just going, Oh,
That's perfect.
that's why he's Walter Cronkite.
Well, the thing that Todd said to me, which I didn't know about, was the stuff in the Walter Cronkite speech about when they landed on the moon is all impromptu.
Right.
It was not written at all.
Wow.
Off the cuff, 5-minute speech about the whole situation. It's like, oh my God, just off the cuff.
Well, and that's what we're going to go to right now, because it is July 20th, 1969, which is just a little more than 50 years ago. I was not quite a year old. And we see Tom Hanks in a convertible, and we see Kevin Bacon, who is demonstrating a joining of a bottle and a glass for a woman.
And Tracy, I'll tell you, when you feel that thing slide in, everything's clicking. It's like no other feeling in the world.
And we end up at the Lovell house, and there's a big party because it's the day of landing on the moon. Yeah. And we get some jokes from our astronauts. Tom Hanks comes in and says, what's the occasion? And that's when we hear that his character, Jim Lovell, has had more time in space than anybody else. Gary Sinise comes in, Bill Paxton comes in, and what we find out is that they're going to be coming soon because they are the crew for Apollo 14.
Right.
So we got a little ways to go for them. And then we have this build to that moment of landing on the moon. I think that's one of those things, man, I wish I could have been seeing it. I mean, I'm sure I was sitting in front of the TV with my parents as a baby. I can't imagine.
Right. No, I just missed it. But yeah, I don't know that there's anything else certainly in the latter half of the 20th century in the TV age that united people like this. And I think it's just this party is just a great expositional thing. It lets you meet the characters, learn about them. You get to see how the astronauts are competitive with each other when Pete Conrad is introducing them. But then once that moment happens, everyone in the room is just humbled.
Yep.
And everybody's having that experience. It's awesome.
Yeah, even at the moment before they go, wait, is it too late to abort the mission? And they make the joke, and then everyone quiets them down, and then it is quiet. And there's this moment, which is one of the great, I think there are two Cronkite moments that I can picture. And one is the death of Kennedy, and the other is this moment.
Right.
Where he takes off his glasses.
Yeah.
Armstrong is on the moon. Neil Armstrong, 38-year-old American, standing on the surface of the moon.
And you could see he's moved and amazed and just... By the way, it is insane to me that this footage does not exist in its original form. I don't know if people know this, but the actual video of the moon landing, the original is gone.
Yeah.
Destroyed. That's just crazy to me. And there's this moment as we watch and hear the one small step for a man and one giant leap for mankind, and we see everyone's faces, and the camera is on Tom Hanks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And his performance is just filled with so much there. Like the amazement at seeing what he's seen, the desire for it to be him, like all of those things are in that look.
Yeah, absolutely.
And apparently, originally they did it as a static shot, so they just had the camera on sticks, and Ron Howard's watching his performance. It's just a reaction shot. At first, they're like, well, we'll get his reaction. And he sees there's so much going on that he kind of goes over to his DP and is like, let's push in on him. And they were fortunately on the dolly already, and so they're able to just slowly do that little push in on him. And it's so powerful.
Awesome.
It's later. It's after the party. Tom Hanks, who's Jim Lovell, is outside sitting on a lawn chair, looking up at the moon. And what's he doing?
Covering it with his thumb.
It's apparently something that Jim Lovell did from the space capsule looking down at Earth. He would cover it with his thumb. I think that's just... What does that mean? Why are we looking at that? What is that telling us?
You're looking at me, John?
I don't want to hear, you're the rocket scientist. You tell me.
Well, I can see covering the Earth when you're on one of his Gemini missions or on Apollo 8, because it's like this is just like
everything. This is our whole world.
Everybody everything you've ever experienced is there, and now it's not. And just it's all behind your thumb. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's something. Yeah, it's something about scale and distance and that I will be there. That's where I'm going. That little tiny small thing is actually a really big thing that someday I'm going to stand on.
Yeah.
And out comes his wife, Marilyn, Kathleen Quinlan. She's great in this movie.
She's amazing in this movie. Yeah. every time she gets a chance to do something, she does the maximum with it, and which is not to say she's chewing the scenery. She is making the best use of all of her time on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both a little bit drunk, and we hear a little bit about what Neil Armstrong's wife is going to be feeling at this moment. And I love this where Jim Lovell says,
Christopher Columbus and Charles Lindbergh and Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong.
Can you imagine if, like, some buddy of ours who we maybe respect and maybe are competitive with and maybe think we're and it's like, Christopher Columbus, Charles Lindbergh, and Dave Rapp.
Sorry. I'm sure I blew the levels on that one.
There's so much in that line. And then we get to this next thing, which is from now on, we live in a world where man has walked on the moon.
Yeah.
Like, that's like almost like it's breaking the sound barrier. It's circumnavigating the globe. It's, I don't know, being beamed up to the Enterprise. It's like something the world is never the same.
But you also get their relationship and the relationship of all the wives with the astronaut husbands right there, because she's saying something completely different and he's not hearing it. She's like, this is a horrible, terrible thing to worry about and stress about. And he's like, this is awesome. Yeah. And they're just like, that's the dynamic. This is what she signed up for.
The next line is a line that might be one of my favorite lines in the movie, which apparently came from Tom Hanks. And this came from him and Ron Howard having a conversation. And the line is,
it's not a miracle. We just decided to go.
Yeah.
There's so much in this movie that is about hard work and perseverance and smarts and engineering and discipline and collaboration that so matches up with my philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I also think the connection here is the thumb thing and this line are connected. Because to him, I think the thumb is his way of going like, I did it to the Earth, I can do it to the moon.
Yeah.
If I did it in that place, I can do it in this place. And we just decided to go do it. That's the kind of, I don't know what the word, there's a phrase to it, right? There's a phrase to it about just doing it. And this is definitely laying the groundwork for what Lovell's going to have to do on that mission later on when things start falling apart. This idea of, we decided to live. We decided to figure it out. We decided to get it done. We decided to get back home. And it's just like, that's his just mentality. Once he decides to do something, he believes he can get it done, or human beings can get it done if they set their mind to it. And I think
that's a great point.
I think there's something about that. It's really powerful.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And then she asks where her mountain is. So I had to look it up. This is not actually scientifically, there is not a Mount Marilyn. He said Jim Lovell called it that, and all the other astronauts at that time called it that. Yeah. But it did not get named that.
Well, I named a star after my daughter when she was born. That counts, right? That's a real thing?
Sure.
I mean, you can buy a star, can't you?
I did.
So you did. No, that does count.
It doesn't count.
I mean, isn't it in like the scientific registry or something?
I don't know.
You're ruining all my illusions. And then they get a little romantic, and it's very cute.
Hello.
We're off at I think it's the vehicle assembly building.
Yeah.
Which apparently is huge.
Yes.
Have you been there?
No, I wish.
And now we have Tom Hanks giving the tour.
The astronaut is only the most visible member of a very large team, and all of us, right down to the guy sweeping the floor, are honored to be a part of it.
Because a lot of what astronauts do when they're not on the mission is a lot of public relations.
What did the man say? Give me a lever long enough and I'll move the world? Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. This is divine inspiration, folks. It's the best part of each one of us, the belief that anything is possible. Things like a computer that can fit into a single room and hold millions of pieces of information.
And he is talking about the big team that is used to make this happen. And immediately he's getting heckled by a senator who's kind of, why are we even doing this?
Now, Jim, people in my state have been asking why we're continuing to fund this program now that we've beaten the Russians to the moon.
Yeah, who's also Roger Corman.
And that Senator Roger Corman. And Roger Corman, he's come up before on the show, but he is the master of low-budget horror, science fiction, action films, particularly in the 60s and 70s. And he gave a start to all sorts of directors, including Peter Fonda, including Martin Scorsese, including Ron Howard, a whole bunch of other people work for him, and a lot of those guys ended up putting him in their movies, and this was his chance.
He was in Silence of the Lambs that we did.
That's right.
as
He
well.
was it because he's just Jonathan
Also
Demme.
playing a senator.
Is he a senator
I
in
think
that?
so.
Oh, that's hilarious. I kind of wish I had somehow found a way to Roger Corman I kind of had my Roger Corman-like experience with Fred Weintraub. That was sort of my Roger Corman experience. And he's kind of going, well, why should we even have to do this?
Imagine if Christopher Columbus had come back from the New World and no one returned in his footsteps.
And that's a big, serious, heavy line, which we could still ask today, since we still aren't going back. And what is the next question he gets asked? Is it a big, serious, heavy, philosophical line? No.
How do you go to the bathroom in space?
Well, I tell you, it's a highly technical process of cranking down the window and looking for a gas station.
The most common question that any of the astronauts was asked.
Can you explain how it's done?
Suction.
That's fair.
And in comes Deke Slayton. And he's one of the Mercury 7, right?
Yes.
He's not one of the main characters in The Right Stuff, though. He's
no, he is. I mean, he's one of the guys.
I know, but he's not. Yeah. He's not one of our main.
Right, because he's the only one of the main 7 that didn't go. He got diagnosed with a heart murmur or some sort of heart condition early on, and so there were 6 Mercury flights.
Went.
Yeah,
and he wants to have a word with Jim Lovell, and this is where storytelling happens in the cut. I have something important to talk to you about. Cut to Jim Lovell comes home excited.
Hey! Anybody home?
Yeah.
Finds his wife who's having an argument with their daughter and says,
You know that Easter vacation trip we had planned for Acapulco? Well, I was thinking there might be a slight change in destination.
Really?
Maybe say the moon.
That's great.
That's a really good moment.
And the reason is that who's it? Is it Al Shepard has an ear infection.
Yeah,
which is weird to me because he has an ear infection, which causes the Apollo 14 crew to get bumped up to Apollo 13, and then the measles thing is going to mess up the Apollo 13 crew.
Right. Some would say it was cursed.
I feel like that's why this is such
It's
a
all because
fascinating.
of the number 13.
I mean,
I think it seems scientifically proven.
I don't trust odd numbers. And there's
the whole half of the numbers.
Apollo 1.
I actually
Apollo 13.
I agree
Apollo
with you
11.
Apollo 11. They got lucky. Yeah.
You're also anti-odd number?
I'm not superstitious, but I am OCD and I prefer even numbers because you know that you can always divide them by 2.
There's a balance.
If it's an odd number,
At
it
least
might
I
be
know
prime.
that.
Yeah,
it might be prime.
Those are the best numbers.
Oh, those are the ones you definitely don't trust.
No.
You heard it here first on the Cine-Files. I love the moment where the argument with the daughter is about the clothes that she's wearing, and she comes out and says, "Dad, can I wear this?" And he says, "Sure." And she says, "Jim," and he says, "No."
Yeah. Right.
And immediately, again, it's the thing that you pointed at before. His reaction is, "This is great." Her reaction is, "Oh."
Yeah.
And she is superstitious.
Yeah, and she's also immediately like, "That's only in 6 months. Are you sure you have enough time for 6 months?" You can. Yeah. Her worry is palpable.
Absolutely. And of course, now we jump to it's 3 months to launch, and our guys are in the simulator. And apparently, the actual astronauts, they spent like cumulatively like a year in the simulator, just working every possible scenario, every single thing that could go wrong, over and over and over again.
To be fair, half of that was Gary Sinise.
And the people on the outside, they decide to mess with him a little, and so they're starting to do this docking maneuver, which is something we're going to see when we're actually out in space. And they realize something goes wrong, and he manages to make it work. And at first, Tom Hanks is like, "Maybe we should back off and try it again." And he says, "No, I got it." And they capture it. And I love that what they're working with is a little camera and like a little suction cup or something, and that's what they're trying to maneuver. I can't imagine building one of these simulators and having it respond the way that an actual spaceship would respond. Yeah. How do you know?
Yeah, it goes to what you said, John, about the thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that have to build everything, and you said it too. Like, I would rather be involved in the 60s space program than today, because even though technology is better today, I don't trust the work ethic of everybody involved today. The 60s, everybody was like in it, patriotic, working hard. Like, well, it's crazy.
Well, one of the things I don't trust, which is so different, is that there was a time when there were people that actually knew how to do all the stuff.
Right.
And now you don't have, what is it, Katherine Johnson, who's literally the human computer who did all the math.
Yeah.
Right.
You just enter the numbers into a computer and it says, here's the answer. Yeah. And there's even all sorts of now, a lot of engineering design, which the computer, AI, has figured out how to make the right way.
Yeah.
Poking the bear.
Well, it's like, you know, if you were in the 70s and you were like in the homebrew computing club, you knew every component in your computer.
Yeah.
Today, the vast majority of people that work on computers, which is millions of people, they don't know what's going on inside there.
Right.
They're just handed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different world. But they're working in the simulator and they managed to do it, and everyone says, good job. And we're heading out, and it's time for the backup team to come in. And just as they're heading out, Gary Sinise, who plays Ken Mattingly, what does he say?
Yeah, but it wasn't perfect. Used up too much fuel.
You above the curve.
Not by much. Listen, guys, I want to work it again.
Hey, we got to be up with the Dawn Patrol headed for Bethpage, what, 0700?
Wheels up at 0700.
Yeah, I know, but my rate of turn is still a little too slow there. I really think we should work it again.
And there's a look from Jim Lovell, who goes,
Well, let's get it right.
Okay, set it up again, Frank.
which also means that the backup crew, including Kevin Bacon, they're not getting the time in the simulator.
Yeah.
Gary, it's so funny because this is right after Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So you have back-to-back Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise movies.
Yeah.
Had we seen him before Forrest Gump?
I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
If we had seen him in a way that was notable. I'm not sure when Of Mice and Men came out. It might have been after.
I thought it was after, because I know they're Steppenwolf guy. Gary Sinise is Steppenwolf.
Yes, he
which
is.
Which
With
is
Malkovich.
with Malkovich and a whole bunch of other people, and this is one of the great theaters in Chicago.
Yeah.
With the really kind of open up the world of theater in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, Of Mice and Men was before. It's 92.
Oh, it's 92.
So, and Midnight Clear was 92 as well, which is kind of these smaller independent films. So he'd had some kind of name, and then he was in The Stand in 94. Then Then he's in Forrest Gump, and then Quick and the Dead as well in 95. So he's making his move. Is basically what's
this is
happening
my
right now.
favorite Gary Sinise, I think, in this movie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a strong statement. All right.
He's so solidly that character for me.
Yeah, that's true. And this cast, I said before, it's like, you know, nobody doesn't love Tom Hanks. He's the Sarah Lee of acting, let's say. and then Bill Paxton's been one of my favorites ever since Weird Science. You know, I love it. And Kevin Bacon, come on, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yep. And then, and coming right off Forrest Gump to put Gary Sinise in this, it's an amazing team.
Yeah. Do you think having 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon was good for Kevin Bacon or bad for Kevin Bacon?
I don't think Kevin Bacon could care less. It's great branding for him. People are talking about him all the time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Such a weird, like, your name kind of rhymes with this thing.
Yeah.
It's so, this is like the first thing now everyone will think of when they, and honestly, Kevin Bacon's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always good.
By the way, is Gary Sinise the most Tom Hanks is like the most name person that has worked with Tom Hanks? Because you look at what Forrest Gump, this, and The Green Mile. Those are three notable films that he has worked alongside.
I forgot he's in Green Mile.
Yeah, I don't know if there are any other actors that have worked as much with Tom Hanks.
Tim Allen.
Ooh,
fair point.
We have a winner.
But I don't know if he's as big. I don't know.
He's not.
He's
a TV actor.
But anyway. And now we go into this. We see them. They're in their suits. They're in space. There's zero gravity, and we're like, "Oh shit! We like skipped into space. What's happened here?"
Hey, we got a problem.
And then the hatch bursts open, and it is suddenly super, super scary. And I think you have that quick transition to, "Oh, they're in space. Did I skip something? Wait, what's going on? Oh, it's a dream."
Yeah. And I don't know where is the place to talk about this, but I feel like we need to talk about the technical aspect of shooting this weightless scenes, because this movie is so important to have to have all the astronaut scenes in the capsule feel realistic, and the fact that they actually did make them weightless for these scenes, you couldn't have done it with wires or CGI.
Can I tell you something interesting?
Please do.
This scene is with wires.
What?
This scene is not in the vomit comment. So what Dave is talking about is well, no, but it's really interesting. So and we'll get into it. Is that what they did for this film is actually shoot a ton of stuff in 0G in the KC-135. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And what Ron Howard said was he didn't want this scene to look like that. And so this is done with the old school technique with wires and all that. And it's only a couple of shots.
Okay.
And so he wanted people to actually go like, oh, is this the best you can do with 0G? So that later on, when he actually shows the full 0G, that it's really impressive.
Wow. Yeah, but I remember when they get to 0G, I was like, how are they doing this? I remember watching the movie in the theater and being like, this is amazing. This really looks like, I can't tell. And then it gets to be so real that you forget it and you're completely in the movie. It's so real that, nothing draws you out of the moment.
Yeah. And we think that this is probably going to be Jim Lovell's dream, but in fact, it's not. It's Marilyn. It's his wife. And she wakes up and then she hears her husband talking to her son. Yeah. And at first it starts off with just him explaining the trip to the moon.
And I take the controls and I steer it around and I fly it down, adjusting it here, the attitude there, pitch, roll, for a nice, soft landing on the moon. Better than Neil Armstrong. Way better than Pete Conrad.
And a couple things about this. One is one of the big chores in this movie is there's so much exposition to get out. There's so much complicated science the audience has to know. And how are you going to do that? And that what they did was that this scene is actually just kind of improv. And it's a way of doing the exposition of we're going to go to the moon at this speed and we're going to go around the moon and then I'm going to land on this lander. And that's all. So it's all exposition so the audience knows science stuff. But it also feels like dad reassuring his kid. Right. So it has an emotional component. And then you get into the second half of the scene, which is what you mentioned before of the kid saying,
"Did you know the astronauts on the fire?"
And this comes from Ron Howard was talking to, because they talked to everyone at NASA they could. They had huge participation. And he was talking to a shuttle astronaut from the space shuttle. And he was talking about that he went up right after the Challenger explosion. Oh. And this is a conversation that he had with his son.
Oh, wow.
Because his son had seen the Challenger explosion and said, "Dad, did you know those people?" Right. And he said, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I knew the astronauts in the fire. All of them.
Could that happen again?
Well, I'll tell you something about that fire. A lot of things went wrong. The door, it's called the hatch. They couldn't get it open when they needed to get out. That was one thing. And, well, a lot of things went wrong in that fire.
Did they fix it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We fixed it. It's not a problem anymore.
That is... I can't imagine having a conversation like that with your kid.
No.
It seems like every space movie or space show has to have that conversation with the wife that's freaky and scary. It's like scary. And the conversation with the kid, explain the situation. Even in First Man, which turned the genre on its head in terms of space movies by not having it be that way, has a forced conversation with his kids before he goes up, right? Claire Foy yells at him that he has to talk to his sons. So I kind of like that too.
We're off in a car, and they're kind of talking. You could see her negativeness about
of course,
everything that's happening because she is freaked out,
and she loves him.
And then a car pulls up next to him and essentially recognizes him and kind of wants a drag race. You know what Ron Howard said about this moment? This is his tribute to American Graffiti. Which, of course, is a Ron Howard, which is George Lucas with Ron Howard as the star.
Good point.
And then what we hear is that Marilyn doesn't want to be at the launch.
Right.
The kids need me at home, honey.
Marilyn, we've had these kids for a while now. They've never kept you from coming to the other launch.
Yes, but now I have your mother. She's just had this stroke.
Mom's fine.
Honey, it's not like I've never been to a launch before. The other wives have not done 3. I just don't think I can go through all that.
I think it's a really good husband-wife moment.
It is.
Because it's not a fight.
No.
it's sort of, I'm disappointed. I'm really not happy about this. I'm not going to force you to do it. It's a really good scene.
And you also get the foreshadowing because when that guy wants to drag him, his car stalls. His equipment failure.
There are several equipment failures throughout the film.
Yeah.
As if he wasn't reading the signs. As if Jim didn't read the signs.
Well, he already ignored the fact that it was Apollo 13.
True.
I mean, that
I
should have
figured
been-
that out. Apollo 11 works because 1 and 1 is a balance. So an 11 is fine.
All right.
So should we skip all the odd number? Wait a second. This is an odd number podcast. This is 151.
But it's a palindrome, so that's okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank God. I was
And
really
it's also
nervous.
a type of rum.
It's true.
It's true.
Fair enough.
Maybe we should have some 151 right now.
I like that idea.
I do not. This is the last thing I need. And he heads off to a plane, and she watches him fly away. And then we are taking some pictures of the crew. And actually, it's funny we mentioned it because the next question they get in their news conference is, doesn't the number 13 bother you? And this doesn't. And it's not just Apollo 13, but they're going to like orbit the moon land on the moon on the 13th. And there's a 13th. There's like a whole bunch of 13s coming up.
Tempting fate.
That's just what I say. Once again, just got to be hubris.
Well, and something I didn't say before. Do you remember what Tom Hanks's response to it being 13 when Marilyn brings it up? It's the number after 12.
Yeah.
That line came from Tom Hanks. That's
sounds
his
right.
line. Yeah.
Simple response.
It's exactly what I would say.
It's not the floor after 12 in most hotels or office buildings.
That's right.
Yeah, those hotels are stupid. What's so funny is I'm so anti-superstitious.
You are really?
That I will walk under the ladder. Like if you were,
I do that too.
Yeah, if there was someone superstitious next to me, I will like, oh really? When it was, and yet, I mean, what's so funny is when you start thinking this way, you could find stuff. My first kind of bigger film at film school, which was written by our friend Josh Haber, produced by our friend Matt Garcia, and I directed. We broke, I don't know, 15, 20 mirrors in a whole bunch of different places for the scene.
Okay.
That movie sucked.
Yeah.
So there you go.
What can I tell you?
The scene looked cool. All right. And then this is what we kind of heard this sort of foreshadowing at the party with the moon landing was, are we even going to make it to Apollo 14? And then we heard it with the senator saying, why are you even doing this? You already did it once.
Right.
And now we're here with the reporters saying the public thinks it's routine. I think that says so much about human nature that we did it twice, right?
Yeah.
And the public's like, yeah, we're over it.
Yeah.
We conquered it.
It boggles my mind.
That's how we are. That's why they stopped like the space shuttle at some point, like before the Challenger thing. I think people were starting to feel like it was okay. It was like, oh, no big deal.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that Kristen McAuliffe was there as a PR.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course,
trying to get people and kids invigorated so they could show the launches again and get people to watch.
I mean, to me, it's like you've seen the triple Lindy once. Why would you ever need to see it again?
Still my favorite Rodney Dangerfield shot ever.
We still have talked about doing
we have
that
to
on
do
the
back to
Cine-Files.
school.
We
Yeah,
will
we
do
have
back
to do back to
school.
You're a melon. Yeah.
And of course,
It's nothing routine about flying to the moon. I can vouch for that. And I think that an astronaut's last mission, his final flight, well, that's always going to be very special.
Why is this your last, Jim?
I'm in command of the best ship with the best crew that anybody could ask for. And I'll be walking in a place where there's 400 degrees difference between sunlight and shadow. I can't imagine ever topping that.
Dave, these are all cocky guys, aren't they? Not cocky in a sense of like overtly cocky, but like they're super confident.
Yeah, you have to have a certain sense of confidence to be able to go up in a, because they were all test pilots.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying before, there was a period where 1 in 4 died.
Yeah.
So if you're the guy who lived, you're like, I've been touched by God. I'm blessed.
they just have that right. What is that stuff? And then we see the big, I think it's called the crawler, which was the real thing that transported the Saturn rockets that I think they used for the shuttle too. Apparently Ron Howard got to drive it.
What?
That's so awesome.
You can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure it goes like a quarter of a mile an hour
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, but I would still be terrified to drive something like that. And Deke comes up and says, we got some problems. There's some lab work that came back, and it's, I guess, one of the guys on the backup crew got the measles.
Yeah, German measles.
And so, and they're all got exposed to it. And Jim is like, well, I've had the measles. But Ken Mattingly, which is the Gary Sinise character, has not.
Yeah.
And now we have the meeting where the medical crew has said, the flight surgeons has said, Mattingly can't go.
You want to break up my crew 2 days before the launch, when we can predict each other's moves, and we can read the tone of each other's voices.
This is a great scene for him, too.
It is.
You know, because Tom's been kind of sitting this thing, chill. And then once you upset his apple cart, all bets are off.
I've trained for the Fraumora Highlands, and this is flight surgeon horseshit, Deke.
Is that nerd rage? He was nerd raging all over the place about it because, like, it's so important to him to go. And then he needs his crew in order for him to go. And without
I cannot qualify this as nerd rage.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the technical definition is, but this is literally a life and death situation. There is good reason for him to be upset.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, when you, like, my thought of what nerd rage is like, you rearranged my comic books. Roar!
Oh, no.
What's your definition?
You cast Robert Pattinson as Batman? Roar!
Well, exactly.
On shot first is ultimate nerd rage.
Right, but these are all things that are the antithesis of life and death.
Well,
decisions.
to you,
no,
to
they
them
are.
it is life and death.
But they're wrong.
Well, sure, in your opinion.
Whether or not, no, this is not a matter of opinion.
I feel like it is.
I feel like I'm having nerd rage.
Oh boy.
But I think it's a great.
When you are going in space and they take the pilot away who's practiced, this is actually a life and death decision.
That's fair.
And I'm really upset about this.
Clearly. But I'll put the comic books back.
It's also, though, it's also a great scene, like you said, John, because it shows, yes, he has to go, but what's the cost?
Yeah.
I need my crew, but I guess I don't really need them if I'm going to, because they're like, if you want to stick with Mattingly, you're not on 13.
Right. We're pushing you back another mission or two.
Yeah.
And so for him, it's like, oh, I'll lose my chance to walk on the moon.
Right.
That's why I like this film. There's a little bit of under the current of this selfish desire to achieve something. And it's all in that look of him looking at Armstrong walking on the moon. It's all there in Hanks' face. And so when it comes out like this, he's been sitting on it the whole time.
Yeah. I think it is such a, and I don't think that he is behaving, I don't think it's immoral, the choice he makes.
He's not childish or anything.
But it is definitely selfish to some degree.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and we cut to Kevin Bacon in the shower with a girl, and the phone rings, and she's like, don't answer. And he's like, no, I have to answer every call because I'm on the backup crew.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of bitching and moaning as he walks out, and he picks up, and this is all played great, picks up the phone, listens, screams.
Yeah.
That's a great moment. And what's even better, and again, this is pure filmmaking, is then everything is told in the cut. You're in this excited, screaming, happy Jack Swigert moment, and cut to silence, Gary Sinise taking it in.
Yeah.
It's a great, great moment. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they had a whole dramatic scene written that was, you know, them telling him with lots of, and they just didn't like it. And again, it sounds like it was Tom Hanks's idea. Why don't you just play the reaction?
Yeah. Subtlety.
That's smart.
Well, Damn.
What I love about Gary Sinise's performance and what I love about that character is that it's just he is trying really, really hard to be the honorable guy.
Yeah.
You know? He's trying.
Definitely.
And you could see all of that pain. Oh, I'm not going to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything I've been working harder than anybody else for, I'm not going to get.
That's understandable, too.
100%.
Medical guys. I mean, I know it's their ass if I get sick up there, but I mean, Jesus!
And then you see the emotion kind of take him for a minute, and he gets angry, and then he's like, and then he pulls it back, and he's like,
Swigert, he'll be fine. He's strong. It'll be a hell of a mission, one for the books.
Because he's trying to do the right thing.
It's crushing.
Yeah. And then the moment that's just, and you cut to Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton, who are just kind of being there for him. And then the moment that is just the worst is he goes, hey, why don't I go talk to Deke and them? I'm sure we can work it out.
This was my call.
Yeah, that stings.
Well, so that's an interesting statement. Why does Tom Hanks? So was it his call? In the way, do you define this as this was his call?
Well, yes, in the way that they're going forward in the mission without him, as opposed to going forward in the mission without that whole crew.
Exactly.
That's his call.
I agree.
Yeah.
So he could have said, because if they had said to him, there's a chance that Mattingly might have the measles, do you want to take him or not take him?
Right.
He would have said, take him.
Right.
He doesn't tell Mattingly that part of it.
Right.
He says, this is my call. Like, to me, this is him. This is what it means to be the boss sometimes.
Yes. You have to take the hit.
Point.
Yeah.
Is that because how is Mattingly going to feel about him? I mean, that's he could hate him. You know, I just took away the most important thing in the world to you. He doesn't throw it off. He could have easily said it was the flight surgeon's call and not done it.
Right.
It's a really interesting. It's rough.
I think it also allows for later on for Sinise to be able to work with those guys later because he doesn't blame them. He blames Tom in his head. Even though he knows he did the right thing, he blames Lovell.
But his reaction in that moment, I mean, it's still, he doesn't yell at him. He gets up and he says, look.
I don't have the measles. I'm not going to get the measles.
And he walks out.
Yeah.
And Paxton, Fredo, runs after him. Which apparently Fred and Ken, they were like best friends throughout the entire astronaut program.
Wow.
Let's take Kevin Bacon, and put him in the simulator. This scene's just rough. Because they throw something at him, and we had seen early, again, it's perfect script construction. Earlier, we saw them throw something at Ken Mattingly. He handles it.
Yeah.
Now they throw something which sounds like it was far easier to deal with at Kevin Bacon. Does not handle it.
Yeah.
And the looks from Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton as he does something and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And then it's...
Okay, we're at 3 Gs. 5 Gs. We're coming in too steep. I'm going to stay in this roll, see if I can pull us out of it. We're at 8 Gs. 9. 10. We're at 12 Gs.
12 Gs, we're running up.
And you could see Kevin Bacon know, like, oh, I just killed us.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's great. It shows how hard it is to step into a role, replace somebody. Yeah. Nobody, like the guys who are there, they don't want the new guy there, and the new guy's got to prove himself. And it's,
well, and in this particular case, they're dead.
Yeah.
Like literally, they're going in 2 days, less than 2 days at this point. Yeah. Our life will be entirely in this guy's hands. That is a rough thing to be in.
But you had to wonder why they were so determined to do it anyway. They could have just made Lovell step down.
Yeah.
The space program. Like the guys in charge. They could have been like,
but then you're
not going.
But then you have...
It pushes things back.
Right, but then you have the whole team. How much has the next team been training at all?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think the space program themselves had a selfish desire to get back up there as quickly as possible.
Oh, you're saying cancel the whole mission?
Yes, because logically that's what you do.
The backup crew can't go.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can't bring 14 up like they did because you need months and months. So if they don't let Jim Lovell go with Jack, you have to scrap the whole thing. And that's
exactly.
Well, this is this weird. My guess is you have both experienced a thing like this where in planning for the whatever, you put so much energy into this thing and we got to do this exactly the right way. It's going to be exactly. And then when you get really close, you have to make a decision on the seat of your pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all that planning shit kind of is out the window because now, I mean, certainly working on a movie, it's always like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I planned to do all this. I guess I'll do that.
Well, that's why you hope the planning does give you more information when that decision comes.
Yeah.
As a writer, you write something, you spend a long time writing a script, and then they're shooting it, and the actor comes to you right before they're shooting, like, I don't want to do this line. This doesn't make sense. And you're like, what about this? I just pulled out of my ass.
Or just, those are the small ones. Yeah. Like the bigger ones are like, oh, I just ran out of money, lost the location. The actor doesn't show up. I have to invent a new scene.
Yeah. You know, that's why I'm not a director.
Yeah.
You've had actors not show up for scenes?
I have I haven't had that one, but I know it's happened all the time.
Fuck.
I mean, with my student films, it happens all the time.
I choke a motherfucker out.
But you remember when we did Some Like It Hot?
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe didn't show up over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've done, or think about Coppola on Apocalypse Now.
Right.
It's like, a hurricane has destroyed all your stuff. Brando shows up fat.
Yeah.
Like it's like we have no ending to the film.
Yeah, that's
it's like these are the constant sort of. Martin Sheen had a heart attack. What do I do now?
This is why John Ford never worked with Brando. I'm
Sure.
not working with that shit.
Yeah.
John Wayne shows up on time, son.
Because John Ford is scary.
That's right, and that's what just. Never mind.
And he has a little conversation with Deke, and again, Deke's like, "How are we doing?"
Yeah.
And Jim Lovell says the right thing. If I had $1 for every time they killed me in that thing, I wouldn't have to work for you. Which I'm sure is true.
Oh yeah.
But every time that he got killed in that thing was months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't 2 days. It wasn't with a day before the launch.
No, but you make a great point. It's you keep seeing Tom Hanks doing this Jim Lovell thing of the understated leadership.
Yeah.
This is what I have to say to Mattingly. This is what I have to say to Deke. This is what I have to do to get everything going smoothly.
Well, here's it. Okay, I don't know how to frame this quite the right way. One of the things that happens with the astronauts, and we saw it in The Right Stuff, and we're certainly seeing it here, is there is the public facing personality, which is I'm in charge, I'm patriotic, I'm self-sacrificing, I'm extremely competent, I'm calm, and that is hiding whatever the inner stuff is.
Right.
And and you see it in this film later when we get to, you're on Vox or you're not on Vox. We'll see these moments of like, I can't let the real emotion of what's going on show, both because within a leadership situation, you don't want all that to show because you got other people who you might freak out, but also you have the general public out there who needs an image of a hero that isn't necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
How important is that in life to present facades that are highly respectable, knowing that those things are not necessarily the truth?
Oh man, that's a good point. I would say that back in this time they were very important.
Yeah.
But now that we live in a day where everybody's on social media, you're still presenting something that's false, but you're giving people so much access to your life that they can see behind the curtain. So a lot of times it seems pointless to put up a facade because you're getting cameras on you from all angles. You can't hide the warts.
Right.
I don't know. I just think it's become less important, even though people still try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm so mixed on this thing because both on a macro level, like post Kennedy, Vietnam, Watergate, Nixon, and going up into today, we have pulled off the veneer of all the people that are supposed to be heroes.
Right.
And there are people like Mark Maron is one that comes to mind, where him putting out this is my real feelings, are great comedians and artists who are going, no, I have all this dark shit in me and here it is. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy those things exist. But I also think having Captain America to look up to and seeing that Captain America as a possibility for me as a kid, it's something to aspire to in terms of this is the right way to behave. This is what is heroic. And I don't mean just Captain America, the Marvel character, but I mean that general idea of the soldier, the president, the leader, the hero, the John Wayne, even though that wasn't true, was something that was valuable. And I think we've lost something by not having those fake things to look up to. And to some degree, they're real because Jim Lovell is a real hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the ability to take control of his emotions in that moment and in many moments that we're going to see and then do the right thing, that saves lives. The same with everybody else we see.
Yeah.
If you take away the models of that behavior, then can we have what happens in this movie happen? I guess that's maybe my question.
Yeah. I think, I don't want to get political, but you could take, say, any two recent presidents and say that one of them put on the face of leadership.
Yes.
And one of them...
The traditional one that we
The traditional one. Yeah. And one of them put on a false face of what they wanted people to think or isn't putting on a face or something.
Different people would probably peg different presidents as the phony one, but that's beside the point.
Yes.
It's the night before the launch. And spectators have come up, and our astronauts are there, and they're, of course, far away because they can't get sick, and they're kind of waving. And who shows up? Marilyn.
Oh, yeah. Such a great moment.
Well, hey, that looks like Marilyn Lovell. But it can't be. She's not coming to the launch.
I heard it was going to be a hell of a show.
So who told you that?
Some guy I know.
And there's great smiles between them, and you just really, Tom Hanks and Kathleen Quinlan are great.
Yeah, you feel the love, but then also that dynamic is still there because he's like, you can't quit me. And he doesn't even, I don't even think he says goodbye. He just turns like, you heard what happened with Ken, and just turns around and leaves.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I'm going off now to go into space for a week.
Yeah.
Right. Because if he makes a bigger deal out of it, then it becomes an emotional thing for her to carry.
Yeah.
If he makes it like it's just it's a Tuesday,
Yeah.
then she
And it
doesn't have to carry
yeah,
that weight.
There wasn't, don't worry.
Yeah.
There was,
None of that
like
stuff.
you heard about that.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
And that's their, relationship.
Well, you know what? It's a weird way this is related to the previous question. He is not showing his true feelings to her and expecting her not to show her true feelings to him.
Right.
Her job is to pretend she's not afraid.
That's a great point.
That is her job.
On the night before he leaves, definitely.
Yeah.
That's her job.
Yeah. It's funny how often I've noticed this, being a parent and in all sorts of situations, frequently our job is not to actually reveal our true feelings.
Oh, of course. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Now is the, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Yeah. It's April 11th, 1970. My wife's 1-year birthday. Oh, she's 1 year old on this day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we see Guta, I think his name is.
Yeah. Guta Vent.
Guta Vent, who's, I guess, the doctor guy. What is he? Scientist? He must be a rocket scientist.
No, he's just the dude who helps him in his suit and brings him. He's his chaperone who gets him in the suit. I don't know his title, but he gets him in the suit and puts him in the capsule. And he's not a doctor.
They're getting some little stuff put on them.
Yeah.
Fluffer.
NASA fluffer.
And we.
Who puts the suit on your body?
NASA fluffer is going to be my favorite.
That's what I'm going for as Halloween this year.
I mean, when you get the rocket to go up, it really goes up.
It really goes up.
We talk about third stage. I mean, there's a lot of jokes here, folks.
Ew.
Man, we have liftoff on that one. Anyway,
Ew, okay.
All right.
All right, Dad.
Marilyn is in the shower. She's washing her hands. We hear the sound of a ring drop. It drops into the drain. She can't get it out. True story really happened.
Yeah.
But not the Safari Inn in Burbank.
Right.
And we have that music as they get into the suits and the beautiful shots as they stand up in a frame. I think the shot selection and camera movement in this movie is great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ron Howard, I was debating when I would say this, but I guess I'll say it right now. I think Ron Howard might be the most underrated director in Hollywood film. Mm-hmm. I think this guy has made a lot of really good films. This probably is my favorite of his films.
Yeah.
And he is a consummate craftsman. He's gotten great performances out of people, and nobody puts him on any of the lists.
No,
Yep.
it's a shame.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, I mean, has he made a movie like Jaws? Has he made a movie like The Godfather or Taxi Driver?
Right.
No. But he's made a lot of really good movies and some movies that nobody cares about. That's also true.
Right.
There's the moment where Bill Paxton has to spit out his gum and the guy has to hold his gum.
Yeah.
This was the real Fred. This was his one objection to the film. He's like, I don't chew gum. Apparently, Kevin Bacon freaked out the first time they put that helmet on him.
Oh.
Which doesn't surprise me. If you're a little claustrophobic and you're suddenly breathing in that thing, because they were the real suits. I mean, they really had onboard air and like.
God damn right.
That's kind of freaky.
I would ask to put on the whole suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The launch sequence, the build up to the launch, and the launch itself, I think is phenomenal filmmaking. And they're going up into the elevator in the gantry. The looks between the astronauts are just great.
Yeah.
You see fear and excitement and intensity, and like, I've had some moments that were exciting in my life.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine. There's nothing remotely close to what this would be.
Yeah. Or should there be?
But fair.
Yeah.
There's so much tension. The shot selection is beautiful. All of this stuff is constructed. They worked with Digital Domain. It's a lot of model work. It's a lot of compositing. It's a lot of multi-passes. Yeah. They really were in the real area at Cape Canaveral, or they really did do some of these moves, but all the stuff with the rocket, that's all put in post. It looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks said the one shot he always wanted to do in his entire life as soon as he became an actor was to be in a spacesuit and walk across the gantry into a capsule.
Hell yes.
That was like what he wanted to do. You know what's cool? Like now that we're entering like this world of VR and things, we're going to be able to kind of visually do some things like this.
I almost bought the Oculus yesterday.
Yeah.
I ordered it because I tried it out last week, and a friend almost broke my legs doing it because I don't know if you know this story, Steve, but I put on the Oculus, and it's that game where you walk across the plank that's hanging off the building.
Okay.
And if you have a fear of heights, it's legitimate.
Yeah.
Like, and so one of my coworkers thought it'd be funny because the other guy is like, step to your right, and apparently you actually do fall when you step off the plank. Like you fall, and you can't see anything else, so you're legitimately in the world. Well, he thought it'd be funny to push me as I'm stepping to my right to fall. So I freaked out because I have a fear of heights, and I immediately like jumped and fell on both my knees and my elbows on the concrete or cement of our place. And so I'm just now today, 7 days later, able to walk without pain.
Oh my God.
But it was like the worst. But it sold the VR thing to me 1,000%. And it's like $400 or $500. But in my head, I'm like, this could be worth it because apparently you can watch TV shows. You can go nature stuff. Like all of it is available to you in a very real, encompassing way. So you're right, Steve. And there is a space thing.
Oh, sure.
Space app on it. So I'm like, oh my God.
So I got it.
Oh, you do?
It's great.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then I broke it, and it's being sent back to me tomorrow. So they're replacing it. I mean, I didn't break it, but it stopped working.
Oh, it just stopped working?
Yeah, and so I sent it. The tracking went off, and so Oculus is replacing it. So it will show up again tomorrow.
Nice.
And maybe I will check out the space thing. I think there should be some rules about VR.
Okay.
Like you do not mess with someone.
Well, of course not.
I mean, well, this is also the thing. You know, the thing that happens with young, particularly men, of like, it'll be fun to do this thing that'll scare the crap out of someone and possibly hurt them. And won't that be awesome? Like you're standing on the cliff near the water and, I'll just push them off the cliff into the water. Once you get to a certain age, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Just don't do those things
Some
to me.
people just take longer to get to that place, I guess.
I love, too, by the way they have to strap them in, and they actually have to step on their shoulder to push it down. That is a tight seatbelt.
Yeah. That's why I like that scene in Armageddon.
That's the best. Owen Wilson's best line ever.
How you doing, Oscar? Great. I got that excited, scared feeling. Like 98% excited, 2% scared. Maybe it's more. It could be 98% scared, 2% excited, but that's what makes it so intense, is it's so confused. I can't really figure it out.
But either way, it's a rush or something.
It's a rush, yeah.
Ed Harris.
Oh.
I can't believe it takes this long in the movie to get to Ed Harris.
Right.
So good.
Who came from The Right Stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is so good in this movie. I won't say he steals the film because that's not possible. But every moment he's in, he is amazing and fascinating and carries so much strength. He plays Gene Kranz, who is one of the many, what's his title?
Flight director.
Flight director. And the way we're introduced to him is a box comes in that's heading towards him because his wife has made something. We hear that there's a tradition, and we open it up and we see this vest, and he puts on the vest, and everyone applauds and goes, I guess we can go now. This is a real tradition. He really was superstitious, and she really did sew a new, I don't know if it was a new vest every time, was it?
I think it was, yeah.
See, Steve, superstition.
Waistcoats.
Superstition, not bad.
Them.
Lots of people are superstitious. Was it a waistcoat?
Yeah.
Did he really call it that?
I think so, yeah.
That's awesome. I love the shot of Gunter sealing the hatch through the hatch. That's really cool.
And it's all, like those doors, so many locks and tumblers, and you're like, it's a little ominous, even though it's not.
You're in there.
Well, you're on top of 10,000 pounds of rocket fuel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now it's time for a go, no go for launch.
Apollo 13 flight controllers, listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch.
I love this.
Yeah.
Just going around the room, hearing the goes from each of the department.
Booster.
Go.
Retro. Go. Vital.
We're go flight.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Ecom.
We're go flight.
GNC.
We're go.
Telmute. Go. Control.
Go flight.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Network.
Go.
Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
We are go for launch.
T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
We see Ken Mattingly out on this field, far away, looking at the rocket ship, standing next to his Corvette. We have inside the capsule, the camera is panning across their faces. This is a real tension builder, suspension, and a lot of this is editorial. This is music. This digital domain doing some great special effects. And there's this moment where, as the tension is building, Jim Lovell looks at the abort switch.
Yeah.
Why? Why does he look at it at this moment?
It's the last chance. I would think so. It's the last chance to flick it and end this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, what happen? Do you know what happens if they hit the abort?
Oh, the capsule pops off the top and it has the tower jettison, they call it.
Oh.
He does it later in the movie. The tower will
where that little
jettison off
thing-
and it'll pull the capsule off, and then it's got a parachute, and it supposedly will deliver them to the ground safely.
But he doesn't. And maybe he would have been better off if he hit that switch. Now that you think about it.
We're go for launch. T-minus
15, 14.
And there's close-ups of the crew, and the ignition sequence starts, and it starts shaking. We hear Tom Hanks say,
The clock is running!
the wives are crying, the rocket starts, we hit ignition, and that huge explosion happens, and apparently, I think it was Buzz Aldrin, saw the footage and said, wow, where did you find this? You must have found this in a vault somewhere. And Ron Howard said, no, we made all this. And he said, wow, that's really good. Can we use it? There's a great top-down shot of the rocket coming towards camera because Ron Howard wanted to show shots at first that we were used to seeing, and then show shots that were impossible that humans could have seen.
Right.
And the rocket goes up, and we're in the clouds, and then we see space appear. It's funny, I have a note that says, ask Dave what that tower thing that gets shot off is, which you already answered.
It is.
And then we get to the first stage. This is so cool. When that first stage drops off and he says, get ready for a little bump or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little jolt.
A little jolt.
Yeah.
And they fly forward despite being strapped in with someone's shoulder on their arms. And then that next stage ignites and they get thrust back. So cool. And then all of a sudden we have 5 engines and one of them goes out.
Houston, this is 13. We've got a center engine cut off. Go on the other 4.
And there is a quick kind of panic. And there are looks between our crew members, which are really we're going to die. This is a good shot. We're going to die right now. And then they go down and they say, no, we're okay. You just had to burn them a little longer. And you remember what Jim Lovell says at that moment?
Yeah, we just had our one glitch.
We just had our glitch for the mission, which is in the transcript. He really said that. Yeah.
Yeah, they said they adhered to the transcripts pretty close.
Really close.
For all the interactions with NASA. I mean, except for the Houston,
yeah.
we have a problem. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Ken walks back to his car. They do one more burn, and Jim Lovell says, and gentlemen, that is how we do that. And now they start to take their stuff off. And this is the first actual vomit comet shot in the movie where you start feeling that real zero gravity.
I just can't even imagine. You get 25 seconds every time. They had to choreograph this into 25-second bursts to get these shots. Take after take after take, with the cameraman floating and the director floating and everybody floating. It's like there's nobody that's immune to it, you know?
Yeah,
everybody's weightless.
It's so insane. So I think what happened is they said, you know what? In order for our actors to know what this is like, we're going to take them on the KC-135 to experience zero-G. And they went up there and they brought a couple of cameras just to do some test footage. And apparently Bill Paxton is the guy who got it, just loved it and was just doing flips and having a ball.
Of course.
And they do it a bunch. And it was Steven Spielberg who said, because he's an executive producer, and he said, you should shoot the movie in there. And they go, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We just did it to give the actors the experience. He says, no, you should. They decide to shoot a certain set of scenes, but they're not going to shoot close-ups. They're not going to shoot 2 shots. It's only the wide shots because they only could do it for 25, 40 seconds, whatever it is. And everything else is shot on a stage. And they do maybe 100 shots or something. And I totally made up that number, so that's not correct.
Sounds
and they go, and Ron Howard goes back to Universal and says, listen, I think we should do more, and convinces them to do 2 or 3 times as much as they've already done.
Wow.
They ended up doing 600 of these parabolic flights. because you do if you had to do 4 takes, well, that was 4 times you had to do it, and they did 600. They have more zero G time than a lot of people in the NASA program. Because
I
no one
believe
else. I mean, and it costs so much to do every one of these.
Yeah. And I don't know how you act, because you only, like, if you're an astronaut, first of all, you don't have to act, and you're just up there weightless, but you've had time to get used to it. As the actors, like, this is happening just now for under a minute, and I have to ignore all the weird sensations in my body and just give a performance. Well, I don't know how you do it.
Well, and I think of things like, well, there's a guy who has to pull focus, which means he's the person who's like, the distance you are from camera, I have to pull focus. Well, he's in zero G, so he's experienced his own thing, but he has to be on the camera, and the camera's moving, and it's like, you think of how long it takes to set up a shot and to practice it and to get it just right, and you're going up this, because before you have the zero G moment, you have the going up really massive G's moment, getting ready to do that shot, and then you've got to, I can't imagine.
Yeah, at the bottom of every arc, then you weigh at least 2 G's. So that you're coming down, so you have to. You're 300, 400 pounds of pressure.
Yeah. Well, and these are only the wide shots. So when they're in the plane, the lighting is really limited because you only have so much space. So they built the set inside the plane and they put some lighting there. And then when they go on set, they have to match what's in the plane. So even though they're on a big stage, and then they have to create the sense of zero G gravity and exactly the space that they were in before to match a shot they might have shot 2 months ago while floating around on a plane. This is advanced.
I cannot
filmmaking.
Imagine the technicalities in making this.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Flight booster SOS-4B shut down.
TLI's on the money. Looks good, flight.
Roger, Fido. Okay, guys. We're going to the moon.
And Fred throws up. Which he says he did not throw up.
Oh, yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
And the transcripts and all the records say he did.
Yeah. I think Jim Lovell even talked about, I'm bearing the lead a little bit here, but when I was in high school, I was a nerd, not like the cool guy that I am now, but some of the
transformation.
Yeah, thanks. Some of the nerds got taken to see Jim Lovell speak.
Oh.
And so I got to go see him speak. I was 16 or 17, and I knew his name. I didn't know anything about this story. And I was like, and he gets up there and tells this story, and I'm like, what the F is going on? This is insane. And he just kept going through, and I'm like, this is the most amazing thing. And he was just like, yeah, this happened.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
So you knew the story before seeing this film?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really knew nothing about it.
Well, that's what I meant about, one of the things I meant about having the Apollo 1 thing start things out. Like our space program was touted. We only talked about the victories,
Right.
And if you weren't there, when we weren't alive when they were happening, it's not like they were taught in schools. It's just like, hey, we went to the moon. It's like, hey, no, all this shit happened, and a lot of it was tough. Yeah. I had no idea what the story was until he told me, and I could not believe it.
It's time for a docking maneuver.
Yeah.
Hello.
This is what we saw. Kevin Bacon demonstrating with the bottle and the glass at the beginning of our film.
Yep.
This is what we saw Ken Mattingly practice and do successfully. And now it's Jack Swiggert's time. And man, there is a lot of nervousness in the room that he's going to do this thing well. And it's beautifully constructed with the looks. Tom Hanks gives Kevin Bacon a look. He knows he's getting a look. Exactly. Fred is obviously nervous, and I love too when it's getting closer. He's like, I got it, and then it scrapes into that cone.
What's this great thing, like in The Right Stuff, is like you know that this is going to be fine. Well, like it's so good at building tension for moments that we know are going to turn out okay. But like you said, it's a great way to show their relationships. It gives you a little bit of comic relief in the scraping noise. It's a good moment.
I gotta get out of this suit.
Houston, we are ready for the beginning of the PTC, and I think once we're in that barbecue roll, Jack and I will eat.
Hey, I'm hungry.
Are you sure?
I could eat the ass out of a dead rhinoceros.
Great look by Tom Hanks.
Want to know the origin of this particular line?
Sure.
So Gary Busey was visiting set
Oh,
that day. And Ron and Bill went to Gary Busey and say, what would be a really country boy thing to say? This is a Gary Busey line.
Of course
my
it is.
God.
Right?
That makes so much sense.
And no country boy has ever said this ever. He just assumed this sounds country. I'll do
And
that.
again, this is a great cut. I could eat the ass out of a dead rhinoceros. Cut to just a gross ashtray tobacco shot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smoking. A
Oh,
lot
so
of people are
much smoking.
smoking in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
And I think the guy putting the ashtray out is Clint Howard.
Sounds about
You're right.
Yeah. And we kind of say, see you tomorrow. And we fade to black. It's day 3. We see the sunrise over the capsule. We see Jim Lovell peeing into the suction tube. They see they do the offboard dump, which they do. And we see a beautiful spray of urine flying out into space. This apparently was one of the actual astronauts' favorite parts of the film. Because this is the question they got asked over and over again.
Right.
There it is.
Here it comes. The constellation Orion.
And now it's time to head for their father's broadcast. And one of the daughters doesn't want to go because the Beatles just broke up, which I understand.
It's, you know.
And we see Tom Hanks begin the broadcast.
Okay, good evening, America, and welcome aboard Apollo 13.
And we're going to turn on some beautiful music, and we start playing Spirit in the Sky.
Hello, world.
I think this sequence is totally amazing.
Yeah.
All the zero-G stuff is so fun. It's kind of the most joyful in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It is.
Except for that we find out that the networks are not carrying it.
Yeah. Which is, once again, it's where the space program was at this time. It's like,
Yeah.
we did it already. What's the big deal? We're moving on to
If you look at the TVs too, you see one of the shows is I Dream of Jeannie, which is a show about an astronaut.
Yeah, right.
They'd rather watch the fake show.
To
about
be
the
fair, that astronaut does have a genie.
that's a good point.
I mean, come on. Barbara Eden.
I'd watch that show.
Sure. I did watch that show.
A lot.
I can't imagine watching that today. I just can't imagine that would be a fun thing to watch. And this is also where we first cut to the old folks' home, and we meet Jim's mom, which is Ron Howard's mom.
Yeah.
She's really good in it, and she's a little upset because her son is supposed to be on TV. And the really sad thing is Marilyn kind of going, do they know they're not on the air? It's like, we're not going to tell them. It's so crushing.
Once again, these white lies you're talking about. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Putting on a face.
And I love, too, the moment where Jack Swigert, Kevin Bacon says,
Oh, well, if anyone from the IRS is watching, I forgot to file my 1040 return amendment. I meant to do it today, but...
That's no joke. They'll jump on him.
That was an improvised line.
So, this is the crew of the Apollo 13. Wishing everyone back on Earth a pleasant evening.
And we see, I guess Xander Berkeley is sort of the press representative guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's the one real dick, it seems like, in the movie. Oh, Xander.
He does a good job, though, of making it, he's not arch, it's
Right.
believable. He doesn't seem insidious, but he is icky.
Yeah. Well, and he just is a little cold. And we're done with our broadcast. And Houston says, when you get a chance, if you could just stir your oxygen tanks. And there's a great shot of Kevin Bacon as he's reaching for that switch. And you know that, this is going to be it. And he hits the switch, and we go inside the circuits, and there's kind of an explosion.
Yep.
And suddenly, all hell breaks loose.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
Alarms are going off. The master arms go off. They kind of go to Swigert, what'd you do? And he's like, I just stirred the tanks.
Yeah.
And in Houston, all the monitors are going down and things are going haywire. And then we have Tom Hanks saying,
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Which was not from the transcripts. It's something apparently Jim Lovell said in talking to Ron Howard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So at least
Yeah.
get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. But he did not actually say it at the time.
Oh, there's another master alarm, Houston.
I'm checking the quad.
Christ, that was no repress valve.
Maybe it's in quad
We've
C.
got a computer restart.
I'm going to reconfigure the RCS.
We've got a
Where
ping
these things
light.
fire doesn't make any sense.
We got multiple caution and warning, Houston.
There is so much chaos going on in this moment. It's really well filmed. Apparently, this is like all the actors, all the Houston control people are just pouring through all the transcripts and coming to Ron Howard and saying, well, what if I say this? What if I say this? And he's culling all of that and kind of deciding, okay, yes, that's good. That's not. Let's put that over here. Let's have you say this at this, and timing it all out and just building the script as they go based on all these things the actors and other people are finding within the transcripts.
That's amazing. And they do such a good job of doing, it's all this technical jargon that nobody knows. I'm not even going to pretend I know, but like you get from context how bad it is.
Houston, we have a main bus A undervolt now, too. It's reading 25.5. Main bus B is reading zip right now.
When you're like, what? But you're like, fuck, I'm scared.
Well, and what's so great too is that they managed to convey that this is really scary and right on the edge of panic, but also that these are all professionals who are really well trained, who are staying remarkably calm and on point of trying to do their jobs while it's happening.
Econ, what's your data telling you?
O2 tank 2 not reading at all. Tank 1 is at 725 psi and falling. Fuel cells 1 and 3 are oh boy, what's going on here? Flight, let me get back to you.
And then there's this moment too where Houston starts to go, we can't have a quadruple failure. This is all good. Maybe it's instrumentation. Maybe nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And then we hear Fredo saying, we got a wicked shimmy up here.
Econ, GNC, these guys are talking about bangs and shimmies up there. Doesn't sound like instrumentation to me.
I love too. And throughout this, we have this zero-G maneuvering going back and forth past each other. And it's like nothing we've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting the difference, I think, this conversation we have many times, between, of course, you could do all of that zero-G stuff by just doing everything in CG.
Yeah.
And it's not the same.
Houston, you're in the mud. Did you say switch to Omni Bravo? Roger, and the signal strength on the high
Fighting me.
gateway
What's the
way
story here, Jack? We keep flirting with gimbal lock.
Everyone's still talking and panicked and all this technical stuff. And then everything quiets down as Tom Hanks turns and looks out the window and all the sound goes into the background and we see the gas.
Houston, we are venting something out into space.
And the camera pushes in on Ed Harris.
Outside of window 1 right now. It's definitely a gas of some sort.
It's got to be the oxygen.
And then there are looks. Suddenly, and this is again classic filmmaking rule of, in order to have a moment be dramatic, chaos, 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 slow, silent, and then this moment takes on all of this weight.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, did you hear me?
Roger, Odyssey, we copy your venting.
And then snap, everybody goes back to work.
Give me an alarm.
Okay, let's everybody
into 4 levels check. Okay.
And this is where, man, Ed Harris is he just cuts through everything.
Quiet down. Quiet down. Let's stay cool, people. Procedures, I need another computer up in the RTCC. I want everybody to alert your support teams. Wake up anybody you need, get them in here. Let's work the problem, people. Let's not make things worse by guessing.
And I love the way this line is written. Ed Harris's line is,
Can we review our status here, Si? Let's look at this thing from a standpoint of status.
and I love that line because the repetition of status is actually bad writing in a way. And what it is, and I'm sure it's out of the transcripts, is it shows his nervousness.
Yeah.
Because he says this thing in a weird way,
Right.
but it also shows his control. And because his next line is,
What have we got on the spacecraft that's good?
and the response is, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's brutal.
It's brutal. We hear from Fred, the ship's bleeding to death. And then we have this shot of Clint Howard's glasses, which is a reflection of the computer screen.
Yeah.
Such a good shot.
Pulls back as he wipes them. It's an amazing shot. And this is the moment where he's really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his weird look works so perfectly for this character. And he recommends shutting down the fuel cells or shutting down the valves to the fuel cells. And this is an example of like, maybe Dave, you know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what a fuel cell is. I know what a valve is. But I have no idea what that means on a space capsule. And so now you've said a thing that no one in the audience means. How is it dramatic?
Right.
Well, it's all the reactions from everybody in the room that makes it dramatic.
Right.
And because they all go, oh shit, we the audience all go, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
You close them, you can't open them again. You can't land on the moon with one healthy fuel cell.
Gene, the Odyssey is dying. From my chair here, this is the last option.
And there's a look up to Ed Harris.
Capcom, let's have them close the reactant valves.
And they tell him. And then there's the reaction on the spaceship because they know what the problem. They know what that means.
Yeah.
And I love, again, the repetition.
Are you saying you want the whole smash? Closing down the react valves for fuel cells shutdown? Shutting down the fuel cells. Did I hear you right?
And they asked if he copies. You copy?
Yes, Houston, we copy. We just lost the moon.
What a moment. What a great... particularly, that's what we built to.
Yeah.
From Tom Hanks's look at the beginning of the movie to Jack Swiggert's reaction when he finds out he's going to go, to them in the capsules and all of that. Like, we're going to the moon. And in this moment, we're not going to the moon. But it's going to get worse because we shut down the fuel, the valves and the reactors or whatever it is. And they look at that oxygen tank and they look at the number and it's at 200 or something.
Yeah.
And it sort of seems to stabilize and then it drops right out to 0.
Shit.
God damn it.
Houston, O2 on 1 is still falling.
One thing I always wonder, was Clint Howard totally wrong? What would have happened if they didn't do that?
I wish I could tell you that I knew enough about it to give you a competent answer,
know.
but I don't even want to pretend I know that much.
And then there's a long pause, and Tom Hanks says,
Fredo, how long does it take to power up the LEM?
3 hours by the checklist.
We don't have that much time.
Tom Hanks' performance is so good.
Yeah.
And they just start moving.
Yeah. And he's ahead of mission control on that.
Right.
You know, he's a leader. He knows what the decision means that they just made, and this is the only choice. And you know, mission control comes and tells him that 5 seconds, 10 seconds, however much later. But he was already on it.
We already have Fredo in the LEM, Houston.
We've got serious time pressure here, Jim. You've got to get the guidance program transferred, and you've got to do it before you're out of power in the command module, or you're not going to be able to navigate up there.
How much time? Can you give me a number?
Well, we're looking at less than 15 minutes of life support in the Odyssey.
And now it's how do we transfer, and I don't even know, again, I don't really know what they're trying to do. Transfer all the information, transfer systems, transfer controls down to the lunar module, which it's not set up for, get it all turned on so they can get into it and be safe because the service module or whatever is going to die.
Yeah.
And there is and one of the most dramatic moments is Tom Hanks doing math.
Okay, Houston, check me. I've completed these Gibble conversions, but I need a double check of the arithmetic.
My nerd brain loves the fact that it's not just Tom Hanks. It's they go down to mission control and everybody is double checking the math. So you have like 14 white guys in white shirts and black
slide
guys
rules
doing slide rules and stuff, and you're tense. You're like, what's the answer going to be? You don't even know what they're doing. You don't even know what number they come up with. It doesn't matter.
And they all agree on the math.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, good, thank God. It's funny. Did you ever learn how to use a slide rule?
Explain it to me again. I mean, I used an abacus in preschool, so...
Sounds like a no.
What's a slide rule?
So slide rule, it was like the size of a ruler.
Oh, is it the steel one?
Could have been steel.
Yeah.
And it had little sliders in it to do, and it would do arithmetic.
Yeah.
My dad showed me how to use one. And of course, we were kids right when calculators happened.
Right.
Yeah. And so they became obsolete right when we were, but they're kind of an amazing, and abacus is too, but a slide rule is like an amazing little piece of engineering.
Yeah.
And then they start shutting down. They start shutting down everything. And we cut to Dick Cavett. And he's making little Dick Cavett, for those of you who don't know, was a talk show host who did marvelous interviews in the late 60s and early 70s.
That he did.
And he's making little monologue jokes about Jack Swigert, you know, and kind of a girl in every port joke. Yeah. And Ken Mattingly is watching it, and he gets frustrated. He's got some beers, and he goes up and switches off the TV just as the image switches to, you know, special report.
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't find confirmation of this, but I've heard that Tom Hanks was a super fan of Dick Cavett, and that's why he was in Forrest Gump. He claims to have seen like all the episodes and can tell you like the guest list from certain episodes and stuff.
That'd be no surprise.
But the person who didn't turn off the TV is Marilyn. And she hears it, and she is on the phone with NASA, screaming at them, asking, what's going on the spaceship?
Right?
He's losing oxygen? Can he even get back?
No, don't give me that NASA bullshit. I want to know what's happening with my husband.
And we're back on the spacecraft, and we're switching over to the Aquarius, and there's some things I don't know what's not set up yet, but they switch stuff over, and suddenly the thing is just out of control.
We're all out of whack.
I'm trying to pitch down, but we're yawn to the left. Why can't I null this out?
We're designed to fly tanks like if our center of gravity is the command module.
It's like flying with a dead elephant on our back.
And what's really interesting about this moment where he says it's flying like a dead elephant is we hear Jim Lovell get pissed off.
Incredible. Informed Houston, I'm well aware of the goddamn gimbals.
Roger that, Houston.
I don't need to hear the obvious. I got the frapping 8-ball right in front of me.
Andy, we're on Vox.
Aquarius, this is Houston. We got you both on Vox.
You want what? You want us to go to Vox, Andy? If you have a hot mic, we're reading everything you say.
Sorry, Jim.
This is like the one moment where he publicly loses it. We're back with Marilyn, and she hears that her son is calling her.
Yeah.
And she goes up, and this scene resonates.
Oh, God. Yeah. Absolutely.
She goes in, and I love that he's under the covers.
Yeah.
And he's got space sheets, and he's got the flashlight.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, flashlight time under the covers is like that. Did you have that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
That is like so cool. And he's going, she comes in, he goes, why is everyone here? And at first she kind of goes, oh, well, your husband, your father's in space, and that's why they're here.
Yeah.
And then she says,
something broke on your daddy's spaceship. And he's going to have to turn around before he even gets to the moon.
Oh, and he says,
Was it the door?
kills me.
That is an amazing. And what's funny, so here's what's amazing about this. It's similar to something we talked about in Braveheart.
Mm-hmm.
They added the Apollo 1 sequence at the beginning because they wanted to show danger, that this is a dangerous thing and things can go wrong. They had no plan of this scene with the kid when they added that.
Seriously.
They added the early scene with the kid because of the conversation that Ron Howard had with the space shuttle guy. And it's only those two things combined that created this third scene. This wasn't in the original plan.
Wow.
It came out of stuff that happened as they're making the film.
Serendipity.
Wow. And that moment of, was it the door, is so crushing and painful and scary. And that kid, I don't know who he is, but his performance is...
Oh, he's the kid from Pet Sematary.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, we can close out your procedure now?
Now, do we know for sure that we can power this thing back up?
It's gonna get awfully cold in here.
Copy that, Jack. We'll just have to deal with that later.
And the looks, because they know what that means. That means that when we shut this thing down, there's a chance we'll never be able to turn it back on, and we're going to freeze to death in space.
Yeah.
Well,
that is what this is about.
That's Armageddon. If you use a big wrench, you can get anything. You can get anything to work.
An equally well-researched film.
Yes, thank you. That's right. I'm sure it is.
And they finally do go and they do the final shut-off, and the camera does this pan along all of those dead instruments.
Yeah.
And now we are coming back to Mission Control, where Ed Harris, Gene Kranz, is going to lead the first meeting on what exactly to do. And the first thing that happens is he walks up to an overhead projector, and that doesn't work. And I think this is like what we've been talking about before. And there are two things about it. One is that we live in an imperfect world, and stuff breaks all the time. And the other thing is that in our world here, if like my battery died on our recorder or something happened, we would just replace it, get a new one. That can't happen on Apollo 13.
Right.
Things break up there, and they're broke.
Right.
I want you all to forget the flight plan. From this moment on, we are improvising a new mission.
And our first question is whether or not we can abort the mission and have a direct return, or whether we need to continue around the moon and use the gravity to slingshot back towards Earth. And pretty quickly, we decide that they don't have the engines for the direct return.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the LEM will not support 3 guys for that amount of time.
It barely holds
I mean,
two.
we have got to do a direct abort. We do an about face, we bring the guys right home right now.
Get them back soon, absolutely.
We don't even know if the Odyssey's engine's even working, and if there's been serious damage to this spacecraft.
They blow up and they die.
That is not the argument.
And then the guy from Grumman, who is the guy that built the LEM, is going,
we can't make any guarantees.
We designed the LEM to land on the moon, not fire the engine out there for course correction.
Well, unfortunately, we're not landing on the moon, are we? I don't care what anything was designed to do. I care about what it can do.
It's later on, and one of the things they're starting to talk about is sleep. We got to get those astronauts to go to sleep. We're back with Ed Harris in Mission Control, and President Nixon wants a quote. In fact, what he really wants is odds.
Gene, I got to give him odds. 5-1 against 3-1.
I don't think they're that good. We are not losing those men.
It's not 5-1, 4. Like, they're in deep trouble.
Look, tell him 3-1.
We're heading off to the dark side of the moon, which means we're going to lose acquisition of signal. And we have the guys looking out the window at the moon, seeing it in the way that none of us and most humans in the world have never seen it.
Yeah.
And the first thing they see is Mount Marilyn. And they ask Jim to take a look. Does he go take a look?
No.
Why not?
He's seen it.
If you saw a beautiful mountain and had a chance, I've been to Yosemite 15 times.
Yeah.
I don't not look at Half Dome because I've seen it.
It would break his heart to look and not to see it from the ground level.
Aquarius, this is Houston. We expect loss of signal in approximately 10 seconds.
So long, Earth. Catch you on the flip side.
When I heard Jim Lovell tell this story, he's a good storyteller too. Like everything, he explains everything had gone wrong. We moved into the thing, and now we're going around the back, and not knowing if they're ever what's still happening to their ship, if they're gonna be able to receive them when they get back around again.
I can't imagine that level of silence.
Oh my God!
The dark side of the moon level of silence.
Yeah,
right. That's just and on a ship where I don't even know if this radio is going to keep working. Yeah, and then we cut to, and this is what's so interesting is we intercut this with, quote unquote, archival footage of Jack Swigert, Kevin Bacon, being interviewed from before the moonshot.
And then you pass into the lunar sunrise over the lunar surface, and it must be an awe-inspiring sight. I can't wait to see it myself.
And what's interesting that Ron Howard says is most of this, they didn't know where they were going to put it. Is that they decided to do all this stuff because they thought they might use it, but they didn't know where.
Wow.
And it became such a structural, this is where the editors, I don't have the name of the editor in front of me, but this is where structurally this movie was so much created in post.
And they do such a good job with that because you get these interviews with all three of them as you go through the movie, and it builds. It goes from Swigert to Hayes to Lovell. And so you get these personal moments that it's not them freaking out in the capsule. It's their life before, sort of.
Right.
And it's so integral. I can't believe they didn't know what they were going to do with that.
No, it's so beautifully done.
Yeah,
There's great things they do of intercutting Jim Lovell and Marilyn Lovell as if they're connected, like psychically or spiritually connected, even across these huge boundaries of space. Is that he kind of switches a light on, and we see Marilyn sitting in the chair, and there's that NASA squawk box in the foreground, which is they're using what's called a split diopter, which means that they're both Marilyn and the squawk box are in focus, and what she's listening to is nothing.
Yeah,
because she's waiting. Yeah, and we see that lunar sunrise, and they come over what was supposed to be their landing site. It's just an amazing. You know what's amazing about film is that here's an experience that none of us could ever have. And we never will have.
Right.
We are never going to be orbiting the moon, looking down at the place that would have been our landing site, but we're never going to land there.
Yeah.
And yet, through the medium of film, we can feel the emotions of this experience that is so far beyond anything in our world, literally in our world.
Yeah.
That's what film can do. Like, it can make you feel things and understand them in a way that you couldn't possibly from your own perspective. Yeah. That's amazing.
And it's such a great moment because early on you said, when they closed the fuel cells, we lost the moon, and you're like, oh, we're crushed, we're hurt with these guys. And and it ends up getting so much worse. And this is the moment though where Jim Lovell, now that we're going over it and he doesn't get his moment, is this is the turn. We're going past this, so what's my goal now?
Well, and before we do that, what do we have?
Oh, his daydream about it.
He dreams. Of seeing himself in that moment on the moon.
Yeah, sorry, I skipped ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fine but then this is the turning point of the film, is after he has this daydream where he sees himself on the moon, sees the footprint, sees him bending over, and touching the soil or the dirt on the moon. What do you call it on the moon? It's not Earth.
It's like ejecta or something like that.
I think that is what it's called, yeah. And then Jim turns to them, and I love, this is so formal what he says.
Gentlemen, what are your intentions? I'd like to go home.
I love that. I love that.
Gets him dialed back in.
And that's the turning point. This is the turning point of the movie. And it's literally, we've just been at the farthest distance from Earth. It is the turning point of the Apollo 13 mission, and it is the turning point of the film as well.
So you're telling me you can only give our guys 45 hours? That brings them to about there. Gentlemen, that's not acceptable.
And then we have this guy who's, the actor's name I don't know, his character's name is John. He is based on a real NASA guy.
Yeah.
And he brings up what the real problem is that none of them have really figured out yet, which is they don't have enough power.
Power is everything.
What do you mean?
Without it, they don't talk to us, they don't correct their trajectory, they don't turn the heat shield around. We got to turn everything off. Now.
And that right now they're using 60 amps, which is how much the breaker on my circuit board to run my electricity is 60 amps. And they have to bring it down to 12 amps, which they describe as enough to run not enough to run a vacuum cleaner.
The more time we talk down here, the more juice they waste up there. I've been looking at the data for the past hour.
That's the deal?
That's the deal.
And there's a long pause, and Ed Harris goes,
Okay, John. Minute we finish the burn, we'll power down the limb.
All right.
And that means that we're going to have a frozen command module, and we're going to have to fire it up with cold batteries. And everyone's like, well, it's never been done.
Yeah.
Never even been simulated, which is so amazing because we hear they've simulated everything they could think of. They didn't simulate this. And then we get the speech from Ed Harris.
I want people in our simulators, working re-entry scenarios. I want you guys to find every engineer who designed every switch, every circuit, every transistor, and every light bulb that's up there. Then I want you to talk to the guy in the assembly line who actually built the thing. Find out how to squeeze every amp out of both of these goddamn machines. I want this mark all the way back to Earth with time to spare. We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch. Failure is not an option.
He really said shit like that.
Yeah. That's the name of his book. He wrote a book. Failure is not an option.
In my experience, failure is an option. Well, it's not an option. It's more of a destination.
Yeah, right.
It's an inevitability.
Seems like, but not on his watch. They find Ken Mattingly. How much had he had to drink?
Good question.
I think he's
enough to kill all those measles.
Exactly. And they tell him what's going on and that they're going to need him on the simulator. And now we get him and John, and this is like a great little relationship that happens in the film of Ken going into the simulator and John being outside and them trying to figure out not only how to run the whole system, I guess, on under 20 amps, but also there can't be any spikes when anything starts up because it's going to blow the system out, I guess.
I need the sim cold and dark. Give me the exact same conditions you've got in there now, and I need present status of every instrument. You got it. I need a flashlight. That's not what they have up there. Don't give me anything they don't have on board.
He's such a cool hero, Gary Sinise, in this film. On board, they're starting to shut stuff down. And one of the things they find out is no more waste dumps. So we introduced how they pee in space and that they dump it off board. And now we find out, they're just going to have a lot of frozen pee floating around.
Yep.
They finally shut down the computer, and then they say, that's it. We just put Sir Isaac Newton in the driver's seat.
That's a great line.
Guess what? More problems. CO2. And it's because they didn't think that they were going to have 3 guys. They were only supposed to have 2 guys in the LEM and only for a small amount of time. Right. Now they got 3 guys in there for a long time, and the CO2 is building up. Unfortunately, the filter or the scrubber that they have in the command capsule is square, and this one is round. And Ed Harris says, you're going to have to figure out how to put a square peg in a round hole.
It's ridiculous.
And then there's a great cut. You know what's great about this movie too, by the way? It's fun.
Yeah.
This next sequence is fun. Like, it is stressful and filled with suspense. But now we cut to a guy who's a pretty nerdy looking guy who's apparently was a writer on Happy Days.
Oh, seriously?
And he dumps a whole bunch of stuff on a table and says,
okay, people, listen up. People upstairs handed us this one, and we got to come through. We gotta find a way to make this fit into the hole for this. Using nothing but that.
This is all the random stuff they have.
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea. Like, here's just everything they might have. What can we do with it? And then we cut to, there's more like biographical material on TV, and Marilyn's watching it, and in walks Xander Berkeley and says they want to put a transmitter on your lawn.
Oh, man, this moment.
It is so great. And of course, her first upset is, wait, I thought the networks didn't care about, nobody cared about this mission. It's like, well, they care now.
Yeah.
Look, I realize how hard this is, Marilyn, but the whole world is caught up in it. It's the biggest
No,
story
Henry.
since-
Those people don't put one piece of equipment on my lawn. If they have a problem with that, they can take it up with my husband. He'll be home on Friday.
And there's the thing, her voice breaks on home, and it's like the best delivery. I love, like, that is her best line in the whole movie.
It's great.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been hearing throughout is we've been hearing music on the tape deck. We first heard the music on the tape deck when we heard Spirit in the Sky when they did their broadcast. And now that music on the tape deck is going a little slower.
And it's like country music too, right?
It's a great, great metaphor for what's going on.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that's going a little slower is Fred. Fred is sick. And we see him taking some pills, again, in real zero gravity, popping those pills. And Jim's noticed. He's like, you don't look too good. And he says, I'll survive. And he says, well, take some aspirin. I took some. And then there's this really sweet moment where he talks about getting his wife pregnant, and it was an accident.
Yeah. And just the irony of, they didn't let Mattingly go up there because they didn't want him sick when they're coming back from the moon, and Fred gets sick.
Well, it's funny. It's in a weird way, NASA is really a control freak's nightmare because they're it's like you can't actually control everything. I mean, they try really, really hard and do a fine job, but he's got some weird urinary tract infection or something.
It hurts when I urinate.
Well, you're not getting enough water.
I'm drinking my ration, same as you. I think old Swagger gave me the clap.
And Fred's worried about the batteries because they're getting cold, and cold batteries have different levels of efficiency. And Jack's worried too. He comes up and he's worried about re-entry. And we can feel the tension start to build as Fred is trying to talk about his thing and Jack is trying to talk about his thing. And at first they kind of dismiss him. Jack is saying we're going to come in too shallow. And he's like, look, there's 900 PhDs down there. You think you're going to figure out something? How'd you figure that out? And he says, I can add.
Yeah.
And then there's this moment.
Ow! God damn it!
Hey!
Piece of shit! This piece of shit's gonna get you home.
All right.
That's because that's the only thing we got left, Jack.
Yeah. Not a flat out accusation, but an insinuation for sure.
Now, what are you saying, Fred?
Oh, I think you know what I'm saying.
Now, wait a minute. All I did was stir those tanks.
What was that gauge reading before you hit the switch?
Hey, don't tell me how to fly the damn CM, all right?
You don't
They brought
even
me in
know,
here
do ya?
to do a job. They asked me to stir the damn tanks, and I stirred the tanks.
This apparently never happened. Yeah. That's what this is something created for dramatic effect.
Yeah, they both claim it never happened.
Yeah.
But it ends with that awesome moment of I don't know if you were going to get to this or not, but Hank Lovell calming them both down, and then it gets heated up again, and then it gets interrupted by mission control.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are we on Vox?" And they're like, "No." And he clicks, and he's super calm. It was like just the best time. It made me miss him doing comedy so much because he was all heated up. "Are we on Vox?" No. Like, okay, Houston.
Well, it's totally funny.
Yeah.
B, it's totally the leader,
right,
coming in and settling down and doing what has to be done for we're not doing this now. And C, it is that astronaut voice coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it is that whatever shit is going on, between the three of us on the Cine-Files, no one listening will know. Oh, well, that's probably not a bad example.
No, it's like the overhead going out. It says something, but it's also much needed little bit of comic relief.
Little bit of comedy. Well, and the other thing too is like we're going to go from tension to tension because we had emotional tension because there was conflict between these two guys, and what now we kind of resolve that. We put that down, and that what Houston is calling for is check your CO2.
Yeah,
and of course it's way up, and they all know what that means. And now we have those guys who have been working on that makeshift scrubber running down the hallway, dropping stuff, trying to keep everything together. They drop it on Gene's desk and they go, this is what they got to make. And they go, do you have the procedures? And he's like, yep, we got it. And they go up to call up to the crew. It's like, okay, we've got a plan for you. Do you have your flight book? And they go, yeah. First thing, rip the cover off.
Kevin Bacon's like, gladly.
They rip the cover off. A lot of this is in zero G. A lot of this running around is actually, shot on that plane. And here's what I found out that's really interesting. A lot of this is ad lib.
Oh, wow.
And the reason is because Ron Howard wanted to create the same chaos that's actually happening. So he gave the procedure to the guys on the radio, which is probably guys who are just off camera. And then he didn't give the procedure to the guys who are actually filming it, so the actors. So they were saying to the actors, okay, you need to get this. I love there's a sock, by the way.
Yeah,
one of the things they have to get is a sock. Like, get this and duct tape this. And the actors are going, wait, get what? And how do we do this? Okay, I've got this. And now what do I do? A lot of it's ad lib.
That's great.
The ad lib stuff is not zero G. Yeah, I think that's really great. Yeah. And we cut to a press conference where they're talking about the CO2 climbing. I love that they asked Xander Berkeley.
What about their level of carbon dioxide?
It's climbing.
And then the reporter says, you're saying they're almost out of usable air? And the other guy, who I don't know who he is, but more the government guy, saying, no, that's not what he said. He said we're working on it. Yeah. And it's like, no, I heard him say it's climbing just a second ago. And this, of course, is intercut with them building the filter, intercut with them with news reports of them explaining what this is. And this is this technique that Ron Howard said they developed for the shows. They really needed to make sure that people understood the stuff. And so first he'd have Mission Control say a thing, which none of us understand.
Right.
And then he would have responses to the thing to make us understand it a little more. Then he would cut out to news reporters who are explaining the thing for the general public. And then when he comes back, now that we're dealing it, now the assumption is everyone understands what it is. It does this over and over and over again throughout the film to make sure we get it. The crew's starting to cough, and Fred tears the bag. And that's I would be the guy that tore the bag. Here I'm just putting this out there. If we ever have to build a makeshift CO2 scrubber, and it involves carefully taking care of small things, don't give me the job.
Okay.
I will tear the bag.
Fair enough.
But they do manage. I think they have a second bag and they can kind of tape it together. And Jack is starting to not feel good, and that you can see them all starting to get scared. And Fred's family is watching the TV, and his wife just gets up and turns it off. And we see the meter is now up at 15, which is where we've heard that if you get there, you start to lose cognitive ability, get dizzy, lose vision, and eventually you're going to die. We hear Cronkite say this is the most serious situation we've ever faced in manned spaceflight. And they put that filter in place, and they turn it on, and there's a long pause, and you could see and feel not only the astronauts holding their breath, but everyone on Earth is holding their breath, and all of us are kind of holding our breath at this moment. And Jim Lovell says, just breathe normal, fellas.
Yeah. And again, it's got to be one of those zero G shots because Kevin Bacon is perpendicular to the other two guys. Got his head right next to the thing. He's like, I can hear airflow. Like he's like so tense.
Can I blow your mind?
Yeah. No,
it's not zero G.
God damn it! Again.
Okay, so here's what they did. This is what's so amazing is that. So here's how they did a lot of this. So when it's zero G, it's only when you really see things are floating and they're floating. Oh, okay. Here's what they did. So the set is on a gimbal. And a gimbal means that you can tilt it. I'm doing hand gestures so everyone listening can see. The gimbal means that you can move the whole set and rotate it. No, I don't think it rotates 360, but it could probably rotate 180 degrees. They have basically these little teeter-totter seats that they could put all the actors on, and they could put them so they would have the set tilted like 45 or 80 degrees. Okay. And then they would have an actor who's strapped into a little seat, and the little seat is on a little teeter-totter. So it can move hydraulically up and down just a little bit. Oh. And there was 3 of them, so they could have one coming from the ceiling. And the camera is also on a gimbal. So you might have the camera off at a 90-degree angle this way, the set tilted at a 45-degree angle the other way, and then actors placed in various positions so that one's coming looks like it's coming in from the ceiling, but really it's coming in from the side.
Awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's how they did a lot. And because they're on these little teeter-totter sliders that are hydraulically controlled, they're kind of giving this motion back and forth, a little bit of
That's
sway.
awesome.
Yeah.
And but they do have to figure out how to intercut this with all the other stuff that was shot in zero-G. It's totally... The level of craftsmanship and hard work of filmmaking is not unlike putting a man on the moon. That's what I'm going to say. And they put that thing in, and the meter doesn't go down, and it doesn't go down, and there's this musical build, and tension builds, and tension builds, and then the music drops off, and a little light switches from orange to green. And that meter starts going down. That's great.
The ultimate MacGyver.
Totally. And we're good. And I love the line is that the because the astronauts are the guys running the radio, which is something we saw in Right Stuff. Is that astronaut? I don't remember who it is who's running the radio. Turns to the nerdy guy who supervised building that thing and says, "You're a steely-eyed missile man."
Yeah, Brett Cullen. That's the actor, not the astronaut.
That's awesome.
Who was also in From the Earth to the Moon, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Going from tension to tension. We just resolved this. Master alarm goes off. Ken Mattingly failed in the simulator.
Yeah.
Something spiked. And they kind of go to Ken's like, man, you need a break. And he says,
If they don't get one, I don't get one.
That's my favorite line of the movie.
It's great.
I know there's a lot of great lines in this movie, but that's my favorite line. They don't get one, I don't get one.
No, it summarizes his character up perfectly.
Exactly. And that he's part, and that in some way he's part of the team, he's part of the mission.
Well, and really, if he did go on the mission, they all die.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's...
Because I don't think Jack Swigert could do this.
No. Of all the lunacy, of all the lunacy and craziness of this is that it might have been divine intervention that he did get kicked off the thing, because those guys most likely would have died without him down on the ground. We don't know for sure, but it's certainly a strong possibility.
Well, I have opinions about the divine intervention part, but I totally agree with you on the other part.
John Rocha shaking his head at me.
I just want to be at the gates when it happens for both of you folks. I'm sitting there with a smirk on my face.
Can I tell you something?
You will be alone because I will not be there.
It's a fair. I'll tell you something. If it happens, I definitely want you to be there.
Great.
Because I want to witness.
I am dying before the both of you, so that's for sure. So that's why I'll be there.
Well, that's a subject for another podcast.
Are we doing Jacob's Ladder anytime soon?
Oh my God!
I will come back for that.
I saw that once in the 80s.
I saw that once. I never want to see it again.
Altered States and Jacob's Ladder. That's a 1-2 punch.
Oh my God! Altered States freaked me out.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That movie freaked me out.
Still
I watched that on videotape.
Nope.
I still remember it.
And when
Okay.
he regressed to the caveman days, I was like,
I was like, and I hadn't done any drugs at this point. I remember seeing that movie and just going, what the hell is this?
they're like, I called it Altered States.
It's right in the title.
You know, I have have you heard a bunch of people who are doing these sensory deprivation things? Like
Yes.
it's all the rage now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't want to do it.
Well,
I don't want to become a caveman.
The guy I just interviewed for Collider Conversation for Deep Cut, Avi Belkin, who's from Tel Aviv. He directed the Mike Wallace Is Here documentary.
Oh, right.
We were talking about this idea of meditation, but he said the next level is this sensory deprivation. He goes, you got to go and do this sensory deprivation thing. It's insane. And there are now, but there's also tents out in Nevada somewhere where that's sound deprivation. Like you can't, it's nothing.
I've heard it freaks you out.
Yes. Yes.
Then I'm just alone with me. I don't want
Yeah,
that.
this is like
But that's the whole point.
I know.
It's time to face yourself.
Oh.
could you imagine if there's some way that instead of just being alone with you, you were like alone with John in his consciousness?
I would prefer that.
He doesn't hear, I don't hear. It's perfect.
Marilyn goes to see Jim's mom.
There's been an accident. Jimmy's okay. He's all right. But he's not going to get to walk on the moon.
I love her sort of response.
Well, they said he was.
And then her daughter starts to lose it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
that little girl does a good job.
She's crying, and mom says,
Are you scared?
and she nods, and mom says,
Well, don't you worry, honey. If they could get a washing machine to fly, my Jimmy could land it.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great, great moment. Back to space, that tape recorder is going real slow.
Yeah.
And it's getting real cold. The song it's playing, by the way, is Blue Moon.
Oh, is it?
Nice.
Yeah. And then that tape, and we see a bag of pee separate off of the wall, and that tape stops. They do a great job of making it cold and sad and depressing and wet and dank and dark in there.
I don't know how you get that condensation on every surface in a set.
So what's interesting too, so when they shot the 0G, they couldn't do this, but when they shot the stage stuff, it was 38 degrees in there. For 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I was the scene where he's talking to, where Hayes and Lovell are talking. Their breath is coming out, and I thought about that this time. I'm like, how?
For a long time.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Well, and they're this gimbal thing I was describing the stage, so they're strapped in. It's a 90-degree angle, hanging upside down in 38-degree weather. Good God. In this close. And here's what Ron Howard, when he was casting the movie, is he knew the movie was going to be hard, and he went, and when he was talking to actors, he tried to scare the crap out of them, and said it's going to be really hard, particularly to the astronauts, obviously, but even the mission control guys, and he'd say it's going to be hard and it's going to be long hours, and he would look, and if they flinched at all, he didn't cast them.
Yeah.
And he only cast the people that went, let's do it. And it sounds like all of them, this was a team effort. They felt they were doing something important, and all of them were, that's why I say they're reading the transcripts, they're staying up late, they're suggesting lines, they're all busting their ass because they felt like they were part of something important.
And that it's amazing how much that parallels or comes through in the movie, because you need, everybody in Mission Control needs to be a steely-eyed missile man, just like the dudes in the capsule.
Yep. What I love too, like who's a hero is that nerdy guy and Clint Howard, and all these people are heroes.
Yeah.
It's not just the, heroic looking astronaut guys.
Well, and they got the Presidential Medal of Freedom after this, and Gene Kranz and from what I know, Gene definitely did, but I think the whole Mission Control crew was included in that.
Wow.
It wasn't just the astronauts.
Good news though. Nixon has said the tax thing is going to be okay. The IRS is going to give him an extension.
Thanks, Dick.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Thanks, Dick.
Bad news. Fred has a fever of 104.
I mean,
that's high.
Fred.
That's not good.
When I've had a fever, I don't want to do anything. Like nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like done. So people say, would you please be in a 38-degree thing and deal with computers and moving? It's like, I don't really want to.
Would you like to control the pitch on a burn for a rocket?
Right.
And all this talk of medical stuff, and Jim Lovell stands up and rips off all those medical attachments, and he flatlines on Mission Control.
Flight, I just lost Lovell.
What I wonder is they've shut everything down, but apparently they haven't shut that down.
Yeah.
Must be on a different battery or something.
This again, though, because you brought this up before, I never thought of it this way. Did Jim Lovell do this because this is really his thing? Because he's so good at keeping the facade, keeping the image of the leader, or was this good leadership?
I think it was totally good leadership.
Right?
100%.
This was good leadership.
He did this for Fred.
Yeah.
I 100% think so.
That just occurred to me just now.
And I love the reaction is that because first one guy goes, "Oh my God, he's died," and then they realize, that he did it on purpose. And the shot of Ed Harris and his smile and nod.
Yeah.
One thing that Ron Howard said that's really interesting about this movie is Ed Harris, and not only to Ed Harris and Tom Hanks are they never in the room together.
Yeah.
But they never actually speak to each other. Anytime that Ed Harris is quote unquote communicating with Tom Hanks, he's doing it through other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And so here he goes, he smiles, he goes, "It's okay, it's just a little rebellion." And then they say it's okay. But they never interact directly.
Right.
Which is really interesting. Day 6. Again, the spaceship is shallowing, which means that they're going to bounce right off the atmosphere and they're going to have to do another burn. Also, it's lunchtime or dinner time or breakfast time. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to have a ice cold, frozen, solid hot dog.
Yep.
Delightful. And Fred is coughing. It is really uncomfortable. And they tell them you're going to have to make a course correction. And they're like, okay, it's going to take us a little time to fire up the computer. No computer.
That is... Oh, that's all right. I like the thing about most real life movies based on real events is you can tell at some point, because oh, this is kind of weird and this would never happen in a story. This seems like you wrote it because it's one goddamn thing after the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, how is it possible that you keep having to do this and this and this? It's I can't get it.
And they apparently had to do like more burns. There was like 3 or 4 in the course of this thing, and they actually filmed another one, and they decided it was more dramatic to just have the one. The only change they made is it's a 39-second burn in the film, and it was shorter. Other than that, and they made it filmically more dramatic, but it is what happened. And finally, it's Jim Lovell that says, well, if I can basically aim at the Earth, we can keep it straight. He's got Rocha now has his thumb out.
My thumb out. I was like,
that's all you need. That's why he was practicing this.
All comes in handy.
Is this an Owen Meany thing? Are we?
Oh my God!
Jim Lovell's been preparing for this his whole life.
That is a deep John Irving reference right there.
I'll say a prayer.
And again, we hear now the news reporter explaining, again, this is just pure exposition, but it's so dramatic.
In order to enter the atmosphere safely, the crew must aim for a corridor just 2.5 degrees wide. If they're too steep, they'll incinerate in the steadily thickening air. If they're too shallow, they'll ricochet off the atmosphere like a rock skipping off a pond.
So we understand now what the stakes are, and now we go back to Gene and the Grumman guy saying, can this thing do it? And he's like,
Gene, I want you to understand we've never tried this before. Burn, cold soak, burn, cold soak, burn, manual control.
Look, it will ignite, will it not?
I just want you to know the engine's never been tried like this. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
We were supposed to land on the moon. That's what we were supposed to do. Apparently Grumman didn't have these objections. I mean, they did. They weren't as wimpy as this guy is portrayed. It's time for the burn.
She's burning.
Oh, yeah.
Master arm off. Okay, here we go.
It's just, again, a really dramatically, perfectly set up structure.
Hard to imagine that they ended up being okay after that
It's
thing.
like great chaos. Too far, too back, and everyone's trying to get it under control. And then it's they hit the 10-second mark and they shut down the burn, and then they go, yep, that was good. And I love too that right when they finish, what happens when we're back at mission control? That Grumman guy goes,
Knew it! How about that, Lim, huh?
Yeah, I guess you get to keep your job.
That's an improv from Ed Harris. And that was an idea on the set, is that Ron Howard said, hey, you know what? Why don't we do a take where you celebrate? And so he said, say I knew it, and then Ed Harris threw out the improv line.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, in terms of what, again, this is why I think Ron Howard is so underrated. It's not that Tom Hanks isn't being creative and all these other people aren't being creative, but to kind of preside over that level of chaos and decide what is going to go and what isn't going to go.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And on board the spacecraft, the line is, let's hope we never have to do that again.
Gentlemen, you've given our guys enough to survive till re-entry. Well done.
And now the big question is the startup procedure.
Yeah.
Do we have it? Nope. And we're back with Ken, and he goes through all this procedure, and it's not enough. And I love the discussion.
The thrusters are going to put you over budget on amps, Ken.
Well, they've been sitting at 200 below for 4 days, John. They got to be heated.
Fine, then trade off the parachutes. Something.
Well, if the chutes don't open, what's the point?
Ken, you're telling me what you need. I'm telling you what we have to work with at this point. I'm not making this stuff up.
They're going to need all these systems, John.
We do not have the power, Ken.
We just don't have it.
And they go, okay, I guess we're going to have to start from scratch. Again, here is a really dramatic thing that is getting to the real point is really minute electrical engineering.
Yeah.
That's where the drama's coming from. It's not aliens coming to take over the world. It's not serial killers trying to kill us. It's just, can we get more amperage out of this circuits?
Watching a needle move on an ammeter to a line.
And now again, we cut to these interview footage, and it's footage with Jim Lovell. And they're interviewing him, and they asked him if he was scared. And originally, this story, which is a real story of Jim Lovell's, was going to happen with the family. It was going to be dialogue. I think it was going to be a scene with dialogue. Maybe it was going to happen with the astronauts.
Okay.
And Tom Hanks didn't like it that way. And they started talking about it, and then they come up with this idea of doing this news footage, and then it becomes this amazing connection as he tells this miraculous story where, and the story is that he's in combat and he's flying back and he doesn't have know really where his ship is, to the aircraft carrier to land on, and then his system fails, so the lights all go out in his cockpit, and only because the light goes out in his cockpit does he see the phosphorescent trail led by the aircraft carrier, and that shows him his way home, which is a miraculous story.
Yeah.
Even I will say that's an amazing story. And it is a true story, but what's so remarkable about it is it becomes a love moment because it's Marilyn who's watching him tell about this miracle that brought him home.
Right. Yeah.
And Kathleen Quinlan's just reaction shot, amazing.
If my cockpit lights hadn't shorted out, there's no way I'd have ever been able to see that. So, you never know what events are going to transpire to get you home.
On board, it's cold. And they hear this sound of which ends up being a burst helium disc, whatever that is. That is another thing that came up on the set. Is they had like a whole bunch of other disasters that they decided not to use, and as they go into this, they're rehearsing the scene, which is gonna be the scene about entry angle and it's gonna be a scene about the startup procedure and how they're gonna do it, but the scene felt dead at the beginning. And this burst helium disc, which is a thing that had happened, was one of the many things they decided not to include in the movie. And as they're doing the rehearsal, and Ron Howard's going, the scene is not having, we need to start with literally a bang. And he goes, oh, remember that burst helium disc? Let's add that here. Let's create that as the opening of the scene. So the energy is really high right when we come in, and that changes the energy throughout the scene. Really good director move.
Yeah.
Really good. And they're asking for the procedure, and the response from Houston is, that's coming real soon, Aquarius. And that's when they know they don't have it. They don't know.
It's an amazing revelation.
And then Jim Lovell does a thing which is very not astronaut, because in general, the astronauts say, okay, copy that, Houston, we're standing by. But that's not what he says. He says,
Houston, we just can't throw this together at the last minute. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get the procedure up to us, whatever it is, and we're going to go over it step by step so there's no foul-ups. I don't have to tell you, we're all a little tired up here. The world's getting awfully big in the window.
So he is giving Houston orders. Yep. That's just great.
Yeah, after this many days, it comes out, man.
Finally. Yeah. And again, they get that kind of non-committed quote back. They don't know how to do it. And then, but the one thing they do say that is a little bit reassuring is saying, we're going to get that right up to you. Ken is working on it. They feel pretty good that Ken is handling this. Back with Ken, again, we hear about Ken, we cut to Ken. This is how good editing works.
I know this sequence works, John.
The sequence looks good. We're just over budget on the amperage.
And then Ken comes up with the idea that really saves everything, which is their batteries on the LEM. What if we can, reverse polarity on stage 3? It's so funny because in most, like in a Star Trek episode, this would just be bullshit science stuff. That is exactly, he's like, well, if I change the frequency of the dilithium crystals and recharge the deflector dish to reverse, superpower the shield generator, that's what you would hear on a Star Trek episode.
Hey, Captain.
And here, you could always be my Scotty.
Yeah.
And here we've got an actual real thing, which is he realizes that, if we can pull just a little bit of juice out of the batteries from the LEM, that might be just enough to push us over. And of course, the first response is, it's never been done before. We've got no procedure for this. And which is like, we just need 4 amps. Gene is freaking out about the procedure.
God damn it! I don't want another estimate. I want the procedures. Now!
And we go to Ken switching stuff on. And again, can you imagine the pitch meeting? Listen. There's going to be a really dramatic sequence. A dude in a little dark room is going to one by one throw switches. And another dude in another room is going to look at a amp meter as it goes up. Really dramatic. And yet it is.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
It is super dramatic. And we walk, because switches go on, and we watch that meter go up, and it gets right at the 20.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to go over. And then the moment where John asks,
Is your computer on now?
Up and running. How do we look? John?
I think we got it, buddy.
Yeah.
I love there's this feeling that they're friends.
Yeah.
They probably, I don't even know if they ever met before.
Exactly.
And they have because they've been through some shit sitting in this room. And the reaction from Gary Sinise is great. They run into NASA again, just clutching their notes, run into Mission Control. Ken Mattingly apparently always wore a jacket and tie in Mission Control. And he puts one on now.
That's a great little tidbit.
And they ask him, well, have you tried this out? Have you tested this? He's like, no. No time. And Ken gets on the radio, and the first thing Lovell asks is, are the flowers blooming in Houston? Which is a reference. And Ken's response is, negative, I don't have the measles.
Yeah.
And who is he sitting next to? That doctor. We're back at Marilyn's house, and this is this intercutting between the space and Mission Control and Marilyn and her family. And she's got two guys with her who she brings over and says, hey, can you just distract Jim's mom? And she goes, I don't remember what her name is. Blanche. Of course it's Blanche. Blanche, here are two nice men are talking. This is Neil Armstrong, and this is Buzz Aldrin. Is this true?
I have no idea.
I don't
but
know.
I love this moment because, again, it's just a much needed moment of levity. And because Blanche's reaction is, oh, do you guys work with my son?
Yeah. Are you in the
has
space
no
program?
idea who they are.
Yeah. And I love it. And they take it just right, which is they kind of go, you don't know who we are? Okay.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
right into we do. Great. And Ken is working with Jack on this procedure. And again, Kevin Bacon is great. He says,
Ken, I'm having trouble reading my own writing. I guess I'm a little more tired than I thought.
And there's a look, and there's a pause, and he says,
Don't worry, Jack. I'll talk you through it.
And again, it's awesome too because we don't just see Kevin Bacon reading off of a sheet that he wrote down.
Right.
It's an interaction between two people.
oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Really good point. And he gives him the first thing to do, and Jack reaches for the panel, which is wet, and he stops, and he says, Ken, and you could see the nervousness, and says, Ken, there's a lot of condensation on this paddle. What's the word on these shorting out? And again, it's just...
We'll just take that one at a time, Jack.
Which means we have no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen. And Jack's response is like trying to turn on a toaster through a car wash. And they turn the first thing on and lights turn on. We got a new problem, fellas. We're underweight. Because
I've never had that problem.
I've certainly never had that problem. Because we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
We got no moon rocks. So in addition to this startup procedure, we're going to have the guys move a whole bunch of ballast essentially down to the command module because it's supposed to be heavier. Wow. And as Jack has continued to go through the procedure, one thing we notice is the word no written on a big piece of paper on one of the switches. And I love that it's just there. Like, it's like, why is there? What is that? What does that mean? The reporters are out on the Lovell lawn, and this is the first time we hear that there's another son who we haven't seen, I think, since the very beginning of the film, and he's in military academy. And it's interesting. So Ron Howard, when he first found that out, he's like, oh, that's too bad because it's going to make it so much less dramatic. And I wish that, he basically went, I wish that wasn't true. And then he realized, oh, it's really dramatic.
Yeah.
Having that kid all alone, in uniform, not with his family.
And he's just got to sit at a desk and pretend like he's not freaking out while all the other kids are looking at him.
Yeah.
Well, and all the other kids are all listening to this thing like normal humans.
Yeah, yeah.
And and imagine too, like the kid behind you is that guy's son.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole situation is really, really weird. And I love the teacher just pats him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's all you get in this military academy. Yep. You get one pat. We're still putting stuff away, and we're just kind of getting all of the startup procedures through.
Uplink telemetry, command module to accept, right?
That's a firm. Go ahead and try it.
And we hit the last switch, and everything comes online, both in the capsule and back in Houston.
Uplink completed.
And there's just this great sort of yes in Houston. Like, okay, we got past that thing. And I love, too, the moment between Jack and Ken where he says, oh, and everything worked, Ken. I wish you were here. And he says, I bet you do. There's a lot. There's a lot in that line.
Yeah.
And another moment, because, again, it's a really well-structured movie. Despite the fact that it's made based on a real story, they managed to have these great character resolution moments, which is Fred turns to Jack and says,
Way to go, Jack.
and that says, we have resolved our previous conflict.
Right. Yep.
And Jack takes it in, and you could see it. It's right there. We're still not out of the woods. There's a typhoon.
That's what I'm talking about. This is shit. You can't write this shit.
I'm starting to believe this 13 thing.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Wait till they land. You'll believe this God thing, too. But let's keep going.
We'll see. And now they cut the service module free, and for the first time they get a look at it. And this is terrifying because they see it was really, really damaged.
Yeah.
The point like, how did we even survive that? And the damage goes right up to the heat shield on the command module.
Of course it does.
And nobody even talks about it. Everyone's got to have the thought.
Yeah.
And now, and again, this is just this great exposition. Now we have some news reporters expositing on the heat shield and how that works because the audience has to know this. And Xander kind of goes off on all the problems, heat shields and parachutes and all these things that can go wrong.
In a very callous manner. I mean,
very callous. And we hear about the whole world sort of coming together. The Pope is making prayers. Congress is having people prayers. Other countries are asking to help. And we have a quiet moment with Jim seeing Fred just freezing.
Yeah.
And he comes up and it is tender and he hugs him and talks about when we splash down, it's going to be in the South Pacific. It's going to be 80 degrees. Jim said he didn't hug Fred for nearly this long.
I love Bill Paxton. God damn it.
Yeah, it's true.
Odyssey, Houston. How we doing, guys? We're closing in on lunar module jettison. As you know, that is time critical.
And Jim is at the window and he wipes the condensation off the window and looks out at the beautiful horizon of Earth, and Marilyn looks up. And again, it's the same as the moment before. It's like they're looking at each other.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
They close off the hatch and everybody is back on the Odyssey. And there's great looks between Jack and Jim sits down in the pilot seat. And at first you're kind of like, what's going on? Yeah. Like, we don't understand quite what the awkward moment is. And then Jim realizes, and kind of Jack is sort of looking at him like, that's my chair. And Jim realizes it and just switches off. Which again, so sometimes Jim might think he's the better pilot. I mean, he has more time and space than anybody.
That's true.
He could say, Captain Kirk might say, I'm going to pilot this in. Captain, if it was Sulu, he wouldn't. But if it was Sulu's last minute replacement,
yeah,
Kirk might take the con.
Yeah. Damn right he would.
Yeah.
Well, Picard would spend 6 days on some Shakespeare soliloquy and not make a decision by the end of it. That's the difference.
Oh my God.
That's the goddamn difference. Anyway, all right.
It's a slight digression.
Kirk is Jim Lovell. Let's go.
I don't know. No, because Jim Lovell gives up the chair and lets the inexperienced guys stay there.
It's true, but yeah. Kirk understands.
Now I'm just thinking about which Star Trek character is Jim Lovell.
Pike.
Picard.
I was just going to say might be Pike.
Oh, fair point. Fair point.
And then that's when Jim notices the no paper.
What is that?
Oh, I was getting a little punchy and I didn't want to cut the lem loose with you guys still in it.
And I love that Jim kind of goes,
it's good thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love. It's like when Kevin Bacon says that, we as the audience laugh, think that's funny, and then Jim Lovell's reaction is like, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And then it's like doubly funny because you're like, oh shit, I thought you were going to be upset. And you're like, no, that's a good idea.
You know what? Here's the only thing I can relate it to is we've all been in circumstances where maybe we were not quite as cognizant of reality as we should have been. And I think if one of us had said like, well, I had to make a note just in case I would, we probably would have gone. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Smart. And then we cut loose the lem. And the last moments is he says, you know, she sure was a good ship. Yeah. And they say farewell. That's a nice moment.
Yeah.
Hippie name, but a good ship.
It's kind of a throwback to that kind of thing of being a captain of a vessel in the sea. She was a good ship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You forget that sometimes when you look at astronauts. You see this rocket ships as more than just ships.
It's time. It's time. The aircraft carrier is in place.
Oh,
it's the USS Iwo Jima. Sorry, the US. We're not on Star Trek anymore.
Right.
Now we start to hear about this thing, the blackout. Lasts 3 minutes. Never goes more than 3 minutes. And that's where we're going to know. If it goes to 4 minutes, they're dead.
Yeah.
And we're still worried about those batteries. We're still worried that we're too shallow. And Gene Kranz says,
Is there anything we could do about it?
Not now, Clay.
And they don't need to know, do they?
Copy that.
Which is exactly what Swaggart was saying earlier when he started the whole fight. He's like,
that's
they wouldn't
a
tell
great
us.
point.
Yeah.
That is a great point. Yeah. The guy who is kind of the government guy says,
This could be the worst disaster NASA's ever experienced.
With all due respect, sir, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
you know, there's a time, most of the time, saying corny shit is corny. And there are certain times where it's like, fuck yeah. That is awesome.
That's why you cast the right actor for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think, honestly, I had seen Ed Harris in a bunch of stuff, including The Right Stuff. This is the movie where I truly fell in love with him.
Oh, yeah. This and Truman Show back to back.
Yeah. I haven't seen Truman Show since it came out.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Does it hold up? Is it?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. It still holds up.
It's almost time.
It's no Ace Ventura, but it holds up. Yeah.
It's almost time. And then, again, speaking of corny stuff, Jim Lovell turns over to them and says, Gentlemen,
it's been a privilege flying with you.
And I love the reactions because you can see it on both Bill Paxton and Kevin Bacon's faces. Like, this means something coming from this guy.
Yeah.
It's like they take it in.
Yeah.
Like he's their hero.
Well, and I mean, this is like, talk about going out in a blaze of patriotic glory.
Oh, my God.
You're on your way to the, I mean, like, this is it. You're in this moment. Like, it's amazing. And the music hits as we hit the atmosphere, and it is intense and scary. It starts to shake. It's bright red light. It gets hotter and hotter. And then this moment that is so cool where that condensation that had frozen on the controls starts to melt, and it essentially starts to rain on them.
Yeah. It's hard to, you can see it a little bit, but like when I heard Jim Lovell talk, he was like, it was raining in the capsule. It's like, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. And we see the helicopter circling over the water, and we see people everywhere watching on TV. And again, we're even the smallest subplot we're going to resolve, because the daughter who's had the conflict with mom is going to run to mom to be held in this moment.
And the little boy, Mommy, you're squishing me. It's like you can't tell. It's such a great moment.
And of course, we have the news reporters saying, reinforcing this idea, no ship has ever been in blackout for longer than 3 minutes. So we know that after 3 minutes, this is going to be a real problem. And that big clock runs out of those 3 minutes. And now we're past it.
Odyssey, Houston, do you read me? Odyssey, this is Houston, do you read?
And we hear Walter Cronkite, and he's saying that those 3 minutes are over. And I don't know if this is 95 Walter Cronkite or if this is archival one, because they use both. And I'm really curious about it.
Yeah.
And then you just have those looks, and you have Neil and Buzz sitting with mom, and you have Marilyn sitting there with her kids, and we have the lookouts on the ship, and we have Houston calling, and everyone is nervous, and this feels like it goes on forever.
Yeah.
I actually wished I had timed it, because I'm curious if it was a minute in the film. My guess is it probably was about a minute. But it feels just forever.
Yeah.
And there's the kid in military school, and he looks down, and then he looks up at that clock, and we're back to Gene in Houston, who started to believe that they're probably dead, and you could really feel it. And then just as Ed Harris is having that reaction of, oh, we have lost them, you hear the static. Before we hear their voices, we see that capsule and those parachutes, and it is just great.
Hello, Houston. This is Odyssey. It's good to see you again.
I fucking love it.
You want to know the filmic technique they used to create the parachute capsule splashdown?
Yeah, what's that?
They built a space capsule with parachutes and they dropped it out of a helicopter. It's totally real size, 100%. They just did it for real.
Works.
It's just such a great moment. And then we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast, Ed Harris's reaction.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite moment of the movie.
I think it's mine too.
Yeah, it's just the fact that, I mean, you did see him lose his temper when he wanted the procedures, but like he has been the guy who has been the rock at Mission Control the whole time, and he finally gives himself a moment, and he just sits down and like wipes his eyes and lets it all sit in for a moment, and then he fucking wipes his eyes clean, stands back up, and he's back into it.
And he is happy and moved and exhausted and overwhelmed and controlled. And so in one of the documentaries, there's a documentary that has the real Gene Kranz in it, and he's telling the story of this moment. And this clip is if you have the Blu-ray, which you can buy on Cine-Files.net, and you watch it, you can see this moment where Gene Kranz, where in telling the story of the moment where they came out of the silence and they heard their voices, Gene Kranz has this reaction where he stops talking, can't keep speaking, wipes his eyes, gets a square-jawed kind of resistance to the emotion, lets it go, and then starts talking again.
Oh, man.
Ron Howard shows this to Ed Harris, and Ed Harris says, "So you'd like me to try to do something like this?" And Ron, after a pause, goes, "Seems like it might be a good idea." And Ed Harris says, "Okay, we'll give it a try." And that's where this moment comes from.
Wow.
Yeah. It is a stunning bit of silent acting.
It chokes me up just you telling me that story.
Yeah. It's so powerful. And the camera work here, the way the camera is pushing it pushes in on Gary Sinise, it pushes in on other characters. It's and it's from this high, which Ron Howard called the God's angle view of floating in and seen, and the drama is just really great. And there's celebration on the aircraft carrier, everyone hugging the son at the military academy. And we have the scuba guy, recovery guy, jump out of that chopper and knock on that hatch. And Jim gives the thumbs up, and they're kind of sitting there kind of wrecked.
Yeah.
And I love him reaching over to help Fred get the belts, the straps off, and Fred takes his hand. That's so good. That's great.
Yep.
And now we have the recovery where they're lifting first Jack, Fred's already up in the helicopter, lifting Jack up, and then we see Tom Hanks come out of that capsule and him get lifted up. And I mean, you just want to cheer. You want to cheer as they get brought up. You want to cheer as they make it onto the aircraft, come out of the helicopter onto the aircraft carrier. And then we have Tom Hanks on the aircraft carrier, and we hear this voiceover.
Our mission was called a successful failure, in that we returned safely but never made it to the moon. In the following months, it was determined that a damaged coil built inside the oxygen tank sparked during our cryostir and caused the explosion that crippled the Odyssey. It was a minor defect that occurred 2 years before I was even named the flight's commander.
Here's what's interesting about this speech. They had written a bunch of different versions of it. And when you're filming, one of the things you need to do is you want to kind of time things out. Right. So if you have a scene on set that has to time out to a speech, you want to have a recording of the speech ahead of time in order to play the scene. So you can actually be playing, okay, this is the 45 seconds we have for the speech, and this is where he'll be saying this, and this is where he'll be saying this. So they weren't really happy with the writing of the speech and the script. So Ron Howard and Tom Hanks took what they had, and in the hotel room the night before, they kind of edited together a bunch of things. And it is literally like the last day of shooting. Wow. And they're in the hotel room, and they call up the sound guy, and the sound guy comes over, and Tom Hanks sitting in the hotel room just records the speech. So they can have temp track to do this with. And then when they get to post, they rewrite it, and they bring Tom Hanks into a real studio, and they record it, and they put it in the movie, and Ron Howard didn't like it, so they recorded a different one, then Ron Howard didn't like it, and then finally they went back to that original recording from the hotel room where Tom Hanks was pretty exhausted after shooting this film, and that is what they used in Apollo 13.
That's awesome.
I sometimes catch myself looking up at the moon, remembering the changes of fortune in our long voyage, thinking of the thousands of people who worked to bring the three of us home. I look up at the moon and wonder, when will we be going back? And who will that be?
And we have reached the end of Apollo 13.
Ew.
We made it through alive. We made it
safe.
home. Obviously, this was a huge hit. It made $355 million worldwide, had 9 Oscar nominations, including supporting actor for Ed Harris, who lost to Kevin Spacey from The Usual Suspects. Supporting actress Kathleen Quinlan, who lost to Mira Sorvino in Mighty Aphrodite.
Wow.
It was also nominated for Art Direction Score Best Picture, which it lost to Braveheart. By the way, when they announced the winner of Best Picture, they said bruh, and Brian Grazer thought they said Brian. They were saying Braveheart, and he stood up and then realizes that it wasn't him. They said Braveheart, because in that moment, and the person who is sitting next to him at the Oscars is Jim Lovell, and he said, "Don't worry, I never made it to the moon."
That's amazing.
It was also nominated for screenplay, which lost to Sense and Sensibility. The only ones it won were for editing, which I think it richly deserves, and sound. I'm surprised it wasn't nominated for visual effects, because the visual effects are stunning in this movie. And this has become, as you said before, Tom Hanks went on to work on From the Earth to the Moon, and I think this rekindled, at least to some degree, some fascination with space travel, which is mostly waned again.
Yeah.
It has, but look at all the stuff that's gone on this year, and like PBS did a fantastic documentary about Apollo 11 as well.
Right.
There's one running now that I can't remember what channel it's on about space. I think it's on HBO about this as well. So every few years, the interest in what happened pops up. But the thing is, I think what we become a trap, what we fall into the trap of as a society is we've kind of done everything we can do, and that's the thing. Until we start to go, we're going to Mars. Then I think people are like, oh, shit. Then they get invested in it. But I think when it comes right now, the space program, there's not really anything of note that we're doing just yet. And I think that is what's going to get people back in it. Not that it should go that way, but I imagine that's why.
I think
we don't ever lose the fascination.
I think you have exactly put your finger on what's going on. But I don't disagree. But what so bothers me is that it is planning scientific exploration as entertainment.
Yeah.
Is like, I mean, and I think that's what it is.
You're going to televise it.
Well, it's not just you're going to televise it. It's that we need to get the funding to do it. There's the line in Right Stuff, no bucks, no Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Is that in order to do these things, you have to have people excited. And the things that get people excited are not necessarily the most scientifically important, or I mean, Ron Howard is a genius at making an amp meter become really dramatic. But in general, if we showed, look, ladies and gentlemen, look at this amp meter, that's not gonna work out. John, do you have final thoughts on Apollo 13?
Sure, I can tell you this. How can that's what do I
You
start?
said you could tell us this,
I
and
could.
then you didn't.
I want to make sure I've got the right lines.
Can you tell us this?
Yeah. It's not my favorite space movie. And I know people revere it and love it as much as they do. And I think ironically, because of the stoic nature of Tom Hanks, I never feel like they're out of trouble. I never feel like they're in trouble.
Oh, okay.
I always feel like they're going to figure it out. And I know the story, of course, but it's ironically because Tom is so level-headed, I don't find this one to be one of my favorite ones. I like when things are more emotional in space, because space can do that to you, exposes you, you know what I'm saying? And so, but that being said, this is a masterful movie in terms of technique, in terms of the acting, in terms of the drama and the tension and the way things are built from beginning to end. And you get to actually feel more for the family than you usually do in most of these space films, where they're just like the wife, the child, they get one or two scenes.
Yeah.
This is, you actually live with this, like the grandparents, this multi-generational family that you're dealing with. And that's something rare in a space film. And then to add into this whole thing is the Gary Sinise, Kevin Bacon situation, which I think is fantastic as well, to show you maybe a lesson, like just because you get taken off something doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to somehow come back. And sometimes something in the universe has a plan for you that you don't even know is there. And I love that this movie exposes that so well. And yeah, that's what I can tell you. And it's a great watch. It's a great watch. It's always a great watch. I don't always feel emotionally invested as strongly as maybe you guys do, but it's a fantastic watch. It's undeniable. And in retrospect, one last thing, you could argue that it has a case against Braveheart. You could absolutely argue it.
I think for me, because we just did Braveheart.
Yeah, we did.
Show,
Yeah.
I really like Braveheart. I actually think I like Apollo 13 better.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can make a case.
I think that's. It might be that the peaks of Braveheart in terms of the male emotional might be a little bit higher, but the craftsmanship and the there's so much stuff in this that I
Plus, it's historically more accurate. So.
Well, there's no question about that. Dave, do you have final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm just grateful to get asked to come do this because I've watched this movie so many times, but never with the critical eye. I just enjoyed it before, and now watching it, I can see that. I think, like I said, maybe in the first part, that I don't think that this movie could have happened without the technical stuff of shooting in the KC-135 and making me believe, because I believed that, because I could see that they were weightless, I believed that this was happening and I was in it, and I'd never looked at it from the story point before, but it's the editing and the story, everything is so well crafted. And to me, this has always been an amazing movie because you usually see the astronauts, the heroes, and they do amazing heroic stuff. But to me, this story was the gut punch of it that really resonated with me. Is there are hundreds of heroes that are all the geeky guys at Mission Control, all these people that worked, like Jim Lovell says at the end of the movie, it's hundreds of people that worked so hard to bring the heroes home. And that's a story that I've never really seen before. So you have heroic stuff going on in space, heroic stuff going on the ground, and then so much heart in it also. And so that's why this is always going to be one of my favorites, and why I'm really happy that I got to talk about it with you. And my last note on my phone is the last thing that Jim Lovell says: when will we be going back? I really like it. God, I watched this movie and I want to build the base on the moon. I want to go to Mars, and no bucks, no Buck Rogers, but also no Buck Rogers, no bucks. You got to make a story to get people excited.
I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think what I really love about this movie is, and you kind of touched on it, is it exemplifies a different species of heroism. Like what we tend to think of as a heroic film, and what we see all the time in a Marvel movie or anything else, is that one person who does things that are so far beyond anything that any of us could do. And it's uniquely, impossibly, dramatically heroic. And what this movie is celebrating is dedication, intelligence, hard work. It's celebrating collaboration, teamwork, and the idea that we all working together can do something important.
Yes.
And it's so as we're in this time where there's so much magical thinking in our world right now. There's so much of not just the nuts and bolts, how are we going to do it? Like, that's the big thing that I think about. The statement that came from the Tom Hanks of, it's not a miracle, we just decided to do it. Is that, and this is something that happens all the time in my classes, where a student will say, well, I want to do this. And my next question is, that sounds great. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
How are you going to accomplish it? And both in terms of Ron Howard in making this film, the tremendous amounts of craftsmanship, the blending of those zero-G shots with the stage shots, the use of the transcriptions, the improvisations with the actors, the collaborations with the actors, the work with the editors, the work with the music and sound people. And I'm not making any comparison between Apollo 13, the real story, and the making of a film. I'm not trying to say that. Right. But what I am trying to say is there's a celebration of craftsmanship, hard work, and intelligence that is so important to me. And one of the big things I think is there are people who, when a thing goes wrong, their first reaction is, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's your fault. Blame that person. Yeah. And there are other people whose first reaction is, how are we going to fix it? And this is a movie about how we're going to fix it. There is only one very brief moment of blame, and it's subtle in the film.
Yeah.
The main thing that is happening is, this is the situation we're in. What do we got to do? And it doesn't matter how hard it is, how difficult it is, how time-consuming it is, how much invention it is, how we have to throw out the rule book. We're going to figure out how to solve this problem. Yep. And I think this movie, Apollo 13, is a thing we need today, because we got a lot of problems and there are a lot of people throwing around a lot of blame, and there are not enough people saying, we got to fix it, and how are we going to do it? So that's what we think of Apollo 13. Of course, we love hearing what you think of a film. So please visit our Facebook page, do a search for the Cine-Files. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, on Stitcher, on YouTube. Leave reviews on iTunes. They really, really help the show. They help other people find us. The more people that find us, the longer we're going to be able to do this show. Leave YouTube comments on YouTube. We love responding to them. They're always really fun to read. If you want to suggest a film like Apollo 13 was suggested, you can do so on our Patreon page, patreon.com/thecine-files. But also, just for $3 a month, you can be a huge help to the show, and you can listen to our Cine-Files shorts, which we try to record as often as possible. It's John and I talking about all sorts of different topics. You can buy the film or stream it through our website, cinephiles.net. And if you want to reach me, you can do so on Twitter at SRMorris, on Instagram at SRMorris1. John, how about you?
You can always reach me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. See all the things I'm doing, all the crazy shows I'm doing as well.
And Dave, thank you so much for bringing your expertise to the show. It's always fun having you on the Cine-Files. If anyone wanted to reach you on the social media, I already know the answer.
Yeah, no, you can. I walk around the valley a lot, so
should we tell them that you have a beautiful pink mohawk right now?
Yeah. If you see somebody with a pink mohawk and tattoos walking around the valley, that's probably me.
you're gonna get swamped by space happy fans. And I think that is it for this week. Hopefully, you will see us on our next journey into the world of film, and I really hope we make it back home on the Cine-Files.